That's soft.
All right, we're in this hoe. Is that a good way to start off the stream?
That's television.
That was half-court Michael Jordan just like real fucking windmilling the thing.
All right.
I got a disclaimer or something before you just
before we refer to things as hoes.
Oh, my bad. I didn't even think about that.
In Women's History Month, Titan.
Oh, God.
I think it's next month.
Yeah. No, next month is Gay Pride Month.
Oh, okay. All right, I'll stop myself.
So when we finally can give women a month, am I right?
Do they have a month? They got. All right, this is not what we're talking about. Titan, introduce what we're doing.
All right. So, in case anybody watching does not know, I have recently acquired the rights to the film Whiplash. It's very, very good. It's a drum movie if you haven't seen it. I want these three boys right in front of me. We got Brant, we got Dwayne, we got, what do you want to go by? Eric?
That's his screen name.
Okay, gotcha.
Eric, like grinder.eric. Classic.
Can you look people up on Grindr?
I don't know if I'm even allowed to like call you gay as an insult in any way. It's just like we went to college together. So while we were sucking each other's cocks, we were calling each other super gay.
I see.
Especially like with like gay like Pride Month or whatever being next month.
Yeah, we should probably just drop the whole thing.
Yeah.
We're talking about Whiplash. You got the rights to Whiplash.
I did.
How'd you get those? See, like,
do you know what grapefruiting is?
Yeah. I've seen the video.
I had to do a few grapefruits, but now we're.
We'll show you that.
Yeah, we will.
Is that like your Quentin Tarantino everything you're part of? You have to mention grapefruit?
Yeah, exactly. And so these boys in front of me are gonna pitch me a sequel / reboot / prequel maybe or spinoff. Whatever good ideas you guys have.
Some more bad ideas.
Yeah, exactly. This is one of my favorite movies of all time, so I'm expecting some good shit from you guys.
Is this seriously one of your favorite movies of all time?
It is, yeah.
That explains a lot. That explains
You're not. Did you? Well, Eric. So also, like, Eric's a special guest, by the way. Just to introduce him, he's new to these waters. But so you got a. Well, what did you have against Whiplash, man?
What do you have against musicians?
I just thought it was kind of like.
Why don't you
Dry.
like music?
Wait. All right, so Eric's not a film guy, but he gets good movies. He's
Right.
He knows a good movie when he fucking sees one, but he also like he's got fascinating opinions. So what do you mean by it's dry? So like, because I can kind of see what you mean.
Do you mean like it? It's cooked chicken, but it's missing its seasoning. Is that what you're saying?
White people.
White meat.
Sure, I guess. Yeah, like it's just
Healthier though.
It's really like just kind of like there's no like action, there's no like excitement really like in it.
Okay, first of all,
Um.
I'm gonna stop you right there. The scenes, the tense scenes with
Like I feel like it's more of a cinematic like
Miles per hour just screaming at him. We just watched that where he's like, just say you're upset, say I'm upset. The whole time, that tense moment where he's just screaming at him, that was actiony. In a different way.
And the very end,
Yeah.
the last like 11 minutes,
When he becomes Whiplash.
Well,
when he stops being Andrew Neiman and becomes Whiplash.
yeah, he becomes the Whiplash.
I mean, at Miles.
So wait. So Hobbins.
Like I'm not saying it's like a horrible movie or anything. I'm just saying favorite movie. That's a bit much.
I said it's one of my
What's your
favorites.
favorite movie?
My favorite movie.
Yeah.
Oh fuck.
I bet it involves war.
It does definitely involve war.
Whatever the fuck it is.
Saving Private Ryan.
That's a good one. That's a total watch with your dad movie.
Full Metal
Yeah,
Jacket.
that's a good movie.
1917.
Tropic Thunder.
Tropic Thunder.
That was
95.
That one section in
understanding of what was going on, but there wasn't that much talking, so it was alright.
What movie?
1917.
You saw it in
Spanish, so I didn't.
Oh.
I didn't know like Spanish.
Why'd you watch it in Spanish?
It's in Spanish.
Oh. What about? Oh, is your favorite movie that one section in Forrest Gump?
Oh, just the part with the feet. You gotta take care of your feet. Lieutenant Dan's like, gotta take care of your feet, and then his like feet get blown up, and it's like, oh, sad.
No. I would have to say, I don't know. I like Gladiator. I like fucking Gladiator. That's what I'll go with.
It's a good answer. You know, that was actually
I
the
love that
second podcast we ever did back before we actually like.
That's the one I didn't watch.
Oh yeah, and I remember it was very apparent. I
Damn.
also didn't watch that one, but I like that movie.
Callback. I did a.
But we're
Gladiator, but it's
we're
ice
really
cream.
falling out of the roost here.
Yeah, we
Let's
are.
discuss
Yeah, we are. Let's go.
what Whiplash is. And Hobbins, we're going to go scene by scene, and you can tell us where it falls apart for you. Eric, I may refer to as Hobbins occasionally in this. Ty, do you want to like start off with the plot? How does it move?
Of course. So it starts off black screen, and then we hear our main character, just drumming out, you know. And I feel as if a lesser director would have done a cut, but they do this nice slow push through this hallway in through the doorway. And he's just absolutely fucking wailing on the drums. It's my boy Miles Teller. I really do have a soft spot for him as an actor. I love him
What
a
else
lot.
do you like some Miles Teller in?
War Dogs. Really enjoy some War Dogs. Yeah.
That's a good movie.
Yeah,
It's a really
also
good
got
movie.
More in it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's like the Michael Cera, but without like the horrible disfigurement. He looks like a real person.
Yeah.
He doesn't
Yeah,
look like
no,
a
he's
test tube
a
baby that's
non-
left in there for too long.
He's a non-wasting disease.
Yeah, you would see him and be
Michael
like,
Cera.
that's a human.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Not
It's
Michael
so-
Cera, though.
shouts out to Michael Cera though. So shouts out.
So we have J.K. Simmons coming in and interrupting his drumming. His name is Terrence Fletcher. He is a well-known professor of music at this conservatory
One of the best.
that doesn't actually exist. I looked it up. It's not a real place.
Right. That
But,
makes sense.
But I wrote down here, one of the first pieces of dialogue we get is Miles Teller introducing himself as Andrew Neiman, and I couldn't for the life of me remember it, despite how many times I've watched this movie.
His name is Neiman.
His name is Andrew Neiman.
I always forget the Andrew, but the Neiman never leaves me.
Neiman.
Neiman. Just like hearing, I always hear J.K. Simmons yelling about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Funny how, so he says his first little introduction of his name. And then J.K. Simmons, so he's like, J.K. Simmons is like, so what's your name? And he's like, well, you know, I'm looking for players, why'd you stop? And then Miles Teller just goes, boop, 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 boop. And then J.K. Simmons is like, well, why did you just start playing again? Like, you wind up monkey or whatever? But then he's like, all right, show me your rudiments. And he takes off his jacket, and we see, which is one of my favorite parts of this movie, which is J.K. Simmons showing off his guns. Because his entire character is just all about dominance and power. And there's something about, just how cut that old man fucking bicep going into the fucking elbow with that fucking arm swishel.
There's a part later where it's kind of like a 3/4 from behind him shot, and his back is fucking jacked, and he's just in a tank top or some shit.
How old is he?
Goddamn.
50s, I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
Doing this shit.
Okay, he's
Yeah.
yoked, like, fucking 50.
Yeah, no, he's got that 50-year-old man, fucking I've been eating kale, motherfucker. Before it was cool.
So
Fucking bench each of those fucking band members.
So anyway, like Dwayne was saying, Terrence Fletcher comes in and he tells Andrew to show him a double time swing, which I think is 330 beats per minute. I'm pretty sure.
I don't think anyone in the world gives a fuck about that. But I appreciate you finding that piece of information.
Yeah, I know. I did a lot of research for this.
Well, were there the 330 beats per minute is just funny because someone was like, I was thinking 325.
No, that's a double time swing. No, because that's important. Because
But that said, though, it's maybe I'm the asshole in this because this movie was built for music nerds.
Exactly.
Every piece of the sound was very intentional.
So then we cut to Andrew buying tickets for because Terrence Fletcher is he fucking leaves in the middle of Andrew showing off, and then he comes back and he's
Instantly, though, he just shows off how much of a douchebag he is.
exactly that's exactly what he
Puts his
does.
jacket down, instantly walks out, and then comes back and grabs and says, "Forgot my jacket."
Yeah,
So,
exactly,
Which is
exactly.
just a dick move. He took. There are 2 times in this movie where he just takes off his jacket for fucking a second of interaction.
Yeah. So again, we cut to Andrew. He's buying tickets to a movie. He's kind of awkward with the girl there, and he has this cute little dialogue with his dad because he goes on little movie dates with his dad all the time. Where his dad offers him some popcorn, and then he's like, "Eat the Raisinets," and he's like, "I don't like the Raisinets." And then his dad is like, "You never told me that." And then he's like, "I'll just eat around them."
Right.
And it's like a cute little thing. Like this is their thing. They go on dates to the movie all the time, and
Then his dad says, "I don't understand you."
yeah, he says,
Yeah,
"I don't."
which is basically, that was like one of those lines where that was basically just him saying what his character is.
Exactly.
Because I don't know. But so like there's some that whole scene, like when as soon as you start watching it, like Eric as a Midwesterner was like, oh, his dad just fucking Midwesterner. Like so that was
that was actually because of the when he got hit, like his dad
Right.
got hit in the
So-
head with popcorn.
that was such a small fucking thing, but I love that kind of shit. It's just the tiny little details in movies. But while they're sitting in the theater, his dad gets hit in the head with a bucket of popcorn, and his dad says, "I'm sorry."
Yeah.
And Neiman, you see his eyes, like he's watching that shit, and he basically kind of internalizes, "I don't want to be that guy." Which,
right.
Like that's an oversimplification of what that means, but I just liked it as a little nugget.
Right. Go ahead.
I was just that gets brought up a lot. How like the whole "I don't get you" thing. Like, later in the family dinner, they're like, it shows the meatloaf and then shows the fish plate and how the meatloaf's mostly gone. Everyone that's normal eats the meatloaf. But
Right.
And Neiman was eating the fish.
Yeah,
Okay,
eating the
man.
fish.
Those
Yeah.
sometimes I miss the insert shots.
Right.
That's when my brain turns off. And man, that was I love that shit, man. The tiny
But
little
then it
shit.
also shows like, because later that's where he's like, "You're just Division 3
Mhm.
to his brother.
That-
It also shows
Right.
he's like rebelling.
One of my
We'll get into that.
I
too.
think
Let's
I
step
think
by step
that
before
is
we
my
get
favorite
off.
scene in the whole movie.
That's just the type one. Yeah, because it's like, have you ever had like an annoying football and you're like, "Shut the fuck up, you're like Division 3."
Good question though. Does anybody here like fish?
I like
no,
fish.
that fish better than meatloaf?
I hate
I
meatloaf.
don't really like
I don't-
meatloaf
I don't-
either.
Really?
Yeah, that looks some really fucking like ketchupy weak ass.
Those shorts. It's gotta be tall.
Anyway.
I don't like
That's all
meatloaf.
structure.
Anyway. So then we cut. Andrew is in his regular ass, like basically. I mean,
JV band.
yeah, pretty
JV
much.
band at the fancy school. He's second chair behind a fucking sexy Irish chap.
Yeah, this ginger cunt.
Take that, you fucking, you goddamn. I don't even, what's the slur against Mick? Yeah, you fucking.
Oh,
Mick,
Jesus.
Patty works too.
And so,
Mick Patty Irish motherfucker.
and so after the class, he goes and he spies on
He goes and spies with his lie.
he spies on Fletcher's class, and
Takes a little beak ski.
yeah, and he like looks away for a second, and then he's kind of coming around, and Fletcher's staring right at him, and it's a cute little tense thing. It was
The
cute.
way that Fletcher is presented in this movie is like, it's almost like a horror movie.
Yeah, he's like omnipotent.
You added like a certain amount of music behind just his presence. He's presented like a horror movie monster.
Mm-hmm.
He's a monster.
And then he goes home and he listens to
He does some drummy drews, and then he looks at the poster.
Buddy Rich.
That's interesting, is because it's really cool that this scene he drums and he stops in the like crossed X pattern.
Yeah.
On his snare, and that like is just a very like universal symbol for rest done
Mm-hmm.
or whatever. And that's the only time in the movie he does that. Like every other scene where he's drumming, it makes it very clear like he's pushing beyond his limits. Whereas this, he stops and he looks at the grades and he just admires them.
Really?
Whereas in other scenes, he just tries to embody that. That's the interesting thing about the theme of this movie, is it doesn't necessarily say self-abuse for the sake of greatness is a bad thing. Which is the whole thesis argument of this movie.
Right.
It's interesting. It's very interesting.
Anyway, so then we
Sorry to go too far.
no, it's great. That's great.
So
Cute.
Goku had to push himself to hit Super Saiyan. So of course that Andrew Neiman has to do the Goku stuff. He's got to be the DBZ for the drumming Ball Z. That's my remake. I'm calling it right now.
Okay,
Dragon Ball Z.
great.
Oh, okay, I'm excited.
That would have fucking smart. I wish
He
I
just
did
dropped.
that.
He just dropped what his idea is. So like us as the investors, writers, or whatever for this movie, like
Scared.
if you really want to pivot, if you took your Dragon Ball Z, drumming Ball Z idea.
You did not
And
get
so
the idea.
we immediately cut back to the next day in his JV.
I would come up with a drumming ball. How dare you?
I prefer the original drumming ball.
Yeah, he said that entirely out of reference. Though.
I'm just saying that, like, I don't think that you're getting the same group of people that are liking Dragon Ball Z in Whiplash. Like I don't think that's.
You
like,
telling me music nerds don't watch anime?
Let the man explain when we get there. That was an Easter egg.
Anyway, we immediately cut back to the next day in his shitty little band class.
And now he's drunk.
And Fletcher comes in and he just has everybody play for him, right? And he's like he goes to the bones, the trombones, and he's like, and then he goes to this.
He calls them bones.
I know.
That's what they call them generally, but that's just.
Then he goes to the reeds. Those are the saxes. And it's a funny little thing. He's like going down, and then he gets this girl, and he goes, all right, you're in first chair, which any music nerds know. Fucking first chair. That's cock of the walk.
Starting five, basically.
Exactly.
If there's somehow a sports.
The alpha.
And then he goes, let's see if it's just because you're pretty. And then he goes, yep.
Yeah, it is.
And then he goes over to the drums, and he tests out Andrew. And then he's like, and then he goes to the next guy, and he says, give me a double time swing. Same shit that he had him do the other day, right? And presumably the same shit that he's been practicing. And so then he goes, drums with me, and then the fucking redheaded prick stands up, and then he's like, no, other drums. And then he's like, be at my class at 6 a.m. tomorrow. And then...
Which is so weird. Imagine being that professor who just had this motherfucker walk into your place and be like, I'm taking that student.
I'm taking the good one.
Mine. Sorry.
And then immediately after being told the room and the time, he goes right and fucking asks that girl. At the
Exactly.
room.
He gets some
Which we had
confidence.
mentioned before, but there was a real cute girl standing behind that fucking popcorn stand.
Mm-hmm. And then she just the shitty little thing. She just goes, please go away.
Yeah, she does that. All right, so ladies out there, ladies, if there is one of you out there, and if there is a lady that would actually be asked out for anything, and now I just fucking shamed the only woman who was watching this who happened to be 340 pounds and currently snuffling some fucking Taco Bell nacho. And I'm sorry to you, Margaret, but like I'm trying to get to we want to expand out to the others, and I'm not trying to be insulting to you, fucking horse hockey, fucking giant, fucking horkers of you. But all right, so anyway,
I'm not trying to be insulting.
Ladies.
Insult you real quick.
No, see, I wasn't insulting him. I was trying to make it land easier.
You swamp things, you.
So ladies, all right. So my point is, if a guy asks you out, fucking not you, Margaret. If a guy asks you out, and you say the fucking whole like, oh, you thing, and you're joking. That's only fucking funny to you. You just give that man a 3-second heart attack. You save his life right afterwards, but you give that man a 3-second heart attack.
Not cool.
And I'm just saying it's unnecessary.
Also, my journey the entire time watching this was learning everyone's names because I never learned.
You are the only other one who does that.
Her name is Nicole. Nicole.
Yeah, there you go.
Did you have something? I saw you.
Oh yeah, no, I didn't think it was that shitty because it was like kind of funny, like.
It is funny, but like if you're.
But if that was you.
But like she's like okay, like it's obviously like she's not like serious about it, like and she like still is like so yeah, like you're gonna give him a 3-second heart attack, but like that would be something that like you might do. Some girl comes up to you at a bar and like you're just like fucking around, like you're feeling like.
You would do that though, like if a girl asked you out, you'd be like, yeah, fuck
fun,
you.
Like that's like a little fun, flirtatious deal.
No.
Right, but the basis of the joke comes from like, I know you're vulnerable right now. Let me fucking poke you a bit.
Right, so
and I get it's just a funny thing.
She's
It's a natural joke.
Though, like that she's not like super serious. And,
That's
like,
a valid point, honestly.
Hardcore, which like kind of makes her the opposite person. To him.
And
Actually,
that said, I will acknowledge
that could be some
after
subtle
she-
characterization.
After she talked, which that is actually a very good point. She will not let him get away with shit. That is some subtle characterization. Good point. But I will say that after she did do the I'm just kidding thing, and after he said that was really mean or whatever, and she was also like she like if the girl you like smiles at you, they can fucking stab you with a fork 3 seconds before it, you know. So anyway, and also like I was talking, I didn't notice that until the last time we were just watching it. But just to throw one more note onto that scene's all in one shot, and I thought that was cool because that's what asking a girl out feels like. It feels like you walk into the room and you're like, all right, I'm not leaving until there's an answer. I'm gonna have the worst day ever, the best day ever after this, and then you fucking get out. I just thought that was cool.
They let you have every 10th second of.
Me to Courtney, but he's a band nerd.
Yeah.
And she was like, ew. Oh, yo, I knew it. And she was like, I'm kidding. He's like, oh, okay, cool. Almost meltdown moment.
Anyway, so after being the cock of the walk once again that night, he wakes up at 6:03 the next morning, which is 3 minutes later than when Fletcher told him to get there. And so he fucking books it to school, but then it turns out he got pranked. Nobody's there. The class doesn't start for another 3 hours. So he just kind of chills in the room the whole time, which, by the way, they just like leave that unlocked.
Yeah, I guess.
It's like the only thing everyone.
Maybe he just leaves
I mean,
it unlocked to
You
fuck
gonna
with.
steal a fucking drum set? That's
Yeah.
such a goddamn asshole.
Or that piano.
Holy fuck.
Yeah,
Yo, I got the best fucking hit. We're gonna steal all the grand pianos out of the fucking music college.
that is a very good point. Everything you steal, like everything that would be small enough to steal, is something that people would be taking home.
Yeah. I guess you're right.
The piccolo.
You could take a shit in like the podium.
You could
Exactly.
go
If
almost
you-
like that.
If you were that kid that, spoiler alert, later on in the movie killed himself,
Yeah.
and you just wanted to give it back at Fletcher, you could just sneak in and shit all over the strings of the piano.
Better kill yourself.
But so, all right, what point in the plot are we in?
So he shows up late for school, and then he
Right,
just sits there.
Everybody just
Right.
floods in.
Chilling.
Fucking reeds in the mouth. Fucking
Yeah.
squirting the spit valve out.
You notice that part 2 time where like he just opens.
And it just.
Yeah, I didn't even realize that was the spit valve until you pointed out, and I was like, "Oh my god, that is the spit valve."
Yeah.
I thought it was just like he was
He was
oiling
just
his shit.
sitting
No.
on the fucking ground.
I didn't even know that
Also-
was a thing that they had. Like,
Yeah.
Catches all the spit.
I only know the only thing I know about a spit valve is a quote from The Simpsons where Lisa's like, "Release the spit
Yeah.
valve."
And also, I learned that apparently you tune drums.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, fucking learned that one. Learned
Yeah.
that one.
He's like, tune my drum to B flat or whatever. And then he asked the
It
piano
makes sense
guy.
when you think about
Yeah.
it, but I
I-
didn't really think about it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a different one because it's just turning screws instead of like, getting
Yeah.
your fucking tone right.
And then the very first song.
part of that. Like, I just had no idea what. Like, when he's hitting the drum and he's like, "Oh yeah, can you do that again?" And then he like turns it again.
You're
Sounds the exact same.
Yeah.
It's tough, yeah.
I don't know.
Different
I bet
stuff.
drums are the hardest. Have you ever seen drums like fucking?
Ever seen drums fuck?
Yeah, like and then that's how you come up with bongos.
Toms on
Oh, they're baby drums. That's
Or
like
tambourines.
really
Or tambourines. They're different
And the
genders.
cymbals.
Yeah.
have the cymbals going.
And like the synth pad is the.
Cymbals
it's
do
like
kind of
the
look like
EQ.
titties from above.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like they're off-center titties
That's-
usually, but that's
Yeah.
what I'm used to.
Great observation.
Yeah, there was like a lopsided. Okay, yeah.
Anyway, the very first song they play is Whiplash. Whiplash, which I fucking love.
Oh, great.
Like musically, I
It's a jam.
fucking love that
It's a
song.
jam.
It's also the name of the movie.
Okay.
Is it?
Whiplash.
It's also the name of a thing that happens when you get into car accidents.
Yeah, it is.
Or like a water slide that's just way too intense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so then,
Or fuck 350-pound Margaret.
Whiplash.
and so then we have this cute little scene where they start playing, and he goes, "Somebody is out of." Fletcher comes in, everybody's fucking sits up, immediately stops playing, sitting as tall as they can, and they start playing Whiplash, and he goes, "Somebody's out of tune," and then he goes,
Yeah,
"Reeds."
one I really don't like.
Bones, and then he fucking yells at this one kid, and he's like, "Are you or are you not out of tune?" And he makes fun of him because he's chubby, and he's like, "I don't want you sabotaging my band because your mind's on a fucking Happy Meal," and then he kicks him out and everything, and then he goes,
Why are you looking at the floor? There isn't a fucking Mars bar.
"Yeah," and then he kicks him out, and then as soon as he leaves, he goes, "By the way, he wasn't out of tune. You were, Smith, but he didn't know, and that's bad enough."
When he walks in, the first time you see Fletcher watching in, he's wearing earplugs. He takes them out. after
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, that was a
He
cool
keeps
little
his ears
character.
nice and clean.
Yeah.
Mm.
The only ones hear the music.
I did not realize that.
Brand pointed that out.
Yeah.
moments ago, actually.
I was like, you listen to his Raycons?
Oh, he also.
Oh, are those ad break? Oh, we just got everyone ready for the Raycon, NordVPN,
MeUndies.
Shadow Legends.
He also calls him Elmer Fudd. I don't know why I wrote that down.
I thought he was going to say
He does
Gomer
call him.
Piles or something, but I was like, Elmer Fudd's like, I guess he is really old.
Gomer Pyle is too. That was one of those instances of there was
looked
only
like a
like one
suicidal
movie that
service.
truly did one movie that did the really good calling someone Gomer Pyle's an insult, which was the Full Metal Jacket. So if you do that again, it kind of almost feels like a reference. You want to just
And
call
calling someone Elmer Fudd isn't a reference.
well because it's just like it feels
It's a
like
reference to a
reference.
reference.
Yes.
Fuck you.
And
Shit.
and so then he's like, "All right, we're gonna take 10. Once we get back, fucking
Squeakers on.
yeah, squeakers on. That's what he calls them.
He's the little one. He's
And
the
that's,
the run to the litter.
I really like that scene because what happens next is Neiman's going out there and he's looking at his music, and I think he's writing in the time because he has a hard time reading time or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
I don't know much about music, but you're saying yes, like you know.
Yeah, he's writing in like 1132.
Right. Yeah. So he's writing the time on the music, and then Fletcher comes up to him and he's like, "Hey Neiman, like, so what's your family like? What's your dad like? Oh no, musicians in the family, huh? Okay, well, what's your dad written? Anything I would know?" And he's like, "Oh, okay, cool." And so he does all this. He does all this little shit where he's like fucking talking. He's talking to him, and it seems if it's the first time you've seen it, at least for me, not for Eric, who was watching it for the first time, and immediately could tell that Fletcher was full of shit. Maybe I'm just a gullible piece of shit. But when I first watched it, I was like, okay, well, he's trying to reach out.
He's a hard ass, but
He's a hard ass, but he's trying to be nice. But then after you watch it, you realize, like, everything he's doing there is he's just mining him for weapons.
because he's like, oh yeah, my dad's a teacher. Where does he teach? Anywhere I would know. And then he's like, no.
College? And then
yeah.
he's like, no, high school.
Yeah, and then he's like, well, what about your mom? She a musician? And then he's like, no, she actually walked out on me. And then he's like, so you just have to listen to the greats, right? And then he tells him the story about Charlie Parker and Joe Jones, about how Charlie Parker became Charlie Parker, which is Joe Jones threw a cymbal at his head because he couldn't fucking play. Charlie Parker, great fucking saxophone player. Joe Jones, great fucking everything, basically. Yeah. And so...
he also shows that he's worried about his timing. That's why he's writing it down. It's like, he fucking Fletcher gets him on it.
Right, yeah, he yells at him.
Exactly.
And
And so, this is a fun little thing. I looked up if that story is true. It is kind of true. Joe Jones threw a cymbal at him, but not at his head. He didn't try to decapitate him like he said. He threw it at his feet. So it's I think that it might be a subtle way of
saying he's full of shit.
Saying that he's full of shit, but also justifying his actions because he's heightening this thing that happened, but it didn't actually happen like that.
That's probably exactly what they were.
Look at all this fucking character development.
Well, he kind of
that's what a great movie.
He always adjusts the story to his own narrative that makes
He does.
himself.
And that does come back at the end with the last part. It's like, hey, I got this little band.
Exactly.
And he just flew it.
And so then we have
And as he's leaving that scene, though, just because I noticed this is a motif, he says have fun at the end, which comes back a couple. Every time he says have fun in this movie, he's lying. He is about to. Shit is gonna hit the fan. It's almost crazy how obvious it is as soon as you pick up on that. How fucking every single time he says that shit goes bad. So then we get into
I call it the not quite my tempo section. So a fun thing. So he has him play Whiplash, and he's like, take it slow, and then he's like, all right, let's bring it up, and then he goes, not quite my tempo, right? And he has him play it again, not quite my tempo. Now here's the fun thing for any music nerds. He was playing it perfectly the first couple of times.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was literally just fucking with him to get him upset, and then he starts to speed up a little bit, and he never drags.
Right. Okay, interesting. I didn't notice that because I was trying to listen to it and be like, okay,
tell him he's dragging so he rushes, and it's like, you've been fucking rushing, and then you could justify throwing a fucking chair
Exactly. And so, yeah, he does play it perfectly, and then he just, once again, fucks with him. And he does this thing where he goes, are you rushing or are you dragging? After he throws a fucking chair at his head, right?
Yeah, and he says, why do you suppose I just threw a chair here?
Mm-hmm. And so, and then he does this thing where he slaps him. He goes 1, 2, 3, and then in between 3 and 4 he slaps him. And so he goes, "Are you rushing? Are you?" He just fucking demolishes the man.
Dark backgrounds, fucking. The depth is only on them. It's just hyper focused. It's all dark and
so
blurry.
And in case you don't notice, everybody else is staring straight forward.
No one's looking.
Nobody's looking at what's happening.
So another interesting thing about just the construction of this scene. So this scene was filmed before. When Damien Chazelle was trying to get this movie made, he actually made a short film that was just this scene. And it's kind of cool to watch that scene back because J.K. Simmons is still in it, but Miles Teller isn't.
Right.
He's hitting it a lot hard, let me tell you.
And also, it doesn't have the signature coloring of this movie.
Right. He doesn't have the black,
yellow,
sweat or t-shirt, tight t-shirt.
Yeah, right. And I don't know.
Yeah, the entire cinematography is black, black, and white is basically all you're looking at.
You could see the lower amount of money. But the talent was still obviously there.
Exactly.
The pacing is still amazing.
Yeah, you
But yeah, so then like there's the fucking smacking and shit, and then he entirely breaks him down and says you're a worthless, friendless, faggot lip piece of shit whose mommy left daddy when she realized that she wasn't fucking whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever it was.
He uses the things that he just said.
Yeah, everything he just said. He uses every little piece of ammo he just gave him against him. I just want to say faggot lips.
Mm-hmm. And so he has some great insults in here.
Dude. He's like
I call people.
This is if S tier is Arlie Ermy in Full Metal Jacket, this is the A tier.
Mm-hmm. I call people Weepy Willow shit sacks all the time.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Anyway, he tells him to practice harder, and that's exactly what he does. And he goes home, and we get our first, I call them the blood, sweat, and tears scenes, where he practices so hard that his hands start to bleed, and he's putting Band-Aids on him, and fucking...
He breaks open the skin, tears a Band-Aid, puts 3 Band-Aids on him.
Is that why you wanted a Band-Aid earlier when you cut yourself?
Oh, yeah, I wanted to fit the movie.
The same, like, part of your fucking... Well, not exactly the same part.
Yeah.
I don't have Band-Aid.
Yeah, I call him the blood, sweat, and tears scene because he's crying, he's sweating, and he's... I want to, like... Because I haven't seen any live music, I want to see somebody play an instrument so hard that they sweat. Because, like, whew, Jesus.
Man, yeah, no, in person, I don't think I've ever seen a musician just fucking...
Phoenix, Arizona, am I right? It's so hot over there.
Oh my
I've seen
God.
bands that are sweating. Like,
Yeah, like rock and roll people would they'd be like jumping around, playing their hearts out. Like this, I haven't seen it, but like
I've never seen like a
videos.
solo guy at a coffee shop.
Tight.
Just-
Both of you have been under like fucking the lamps of a movie.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. Your intention.
Yeah.
That shit's hot.
Yeah.
And on stage, same fucking lighting.
Mhm.
Probably
Especially
hotter.
with a drummer too, because that's a very
Yeah,
athletic
Shit,
instrument.
the Def Leppard guys.
Have you seen this muscle on drummers? If this muscle on somebody is really big, they either drum or they jerk off way too much.
Or they finger.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys just out of curiosity? Who in here? Does anybody? You play guitar, right? You play
Yeah.
You play a bunch of stuff.
I play viola, guitar, piano, and
Why do you fucking open with viola?
huh? Oh, that's the one I started first, so I just
Oh, okay, gotcha. I thought it was because you wanted to make sure you couldn't get laid or something.
no.
You need that smoke screen.
Yeah, I'm covering all my bases.
Yeah.
I'm waiting until marriage, so.
Yeah. All right. Sorry, Frank. Shout out to Frank.
Honestly, well done, bud.
All right.
And
You're not allowed to say that, though.
Yeah.
I'm sorry if I'm just destroying everything.
No, it's all good. You're
Already
good.
said faggot like 3 times.
No, I dig it. I dig it.
You have to keep that out. Or
Say it one more time.
I'm gonna have to beep it out, dude. Honestly, like, I think
Yeah.
Susan Wojcicki is gonna fucking.
We gotta
rape
get
my
all the
kids.
faggots out now before we start this movie.
Anyway, so he goes on his date with Nicole, and they're just as awkward as before. And they have this conversation about like their schools.
That
Right, right.
And-
backgrounding into Cubano though, that old Jewish man in the deli. He had this nice Cubano.
Are you sure it was a Cubano? Because I didn't like.
It was a nice
I
grill.
trust you.
It was a flat toasted sandwich, and that
It could have been a
scene,
Reuben.
You could tell.
If it's a deli, a Jewish deli.
No, it was
No,
breast.
no, because Reuben.
You can tell what a
does
Reuben
have
is.
that kind
I
of-
don't know what a Reuben is.
Listen, the
I'm speaking
cinematography,
out of my
because
depth.
each shot shows him the sandwich is always at the same.
Wait, what?
Oh, really?
Wait, so
They got their continuity down?
There's
The shit down, background down. But also, that looks like a good sandwich. That was a nice Jewish deli.
It might have been intentional. They might have been trying to show up. Maybe the whole movie was just an ad for that sandwich.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
was a good looking
Do
sandwich.
we have any Jewish delis?
In Butte?
Yeah.
No.
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 Yeah, bagels.
There's a hot dog place over there.
I don't think that really counts. I don't think
Hebrew
that's
national,
Jewish
baby.
thing.
So I wanted to point out this conversation that they had over their sandwiches.
Yes.
Or no, wait, they ate pizza.
Over-
They
over-
ate
yeah,
pizza.
yeah, they ate
They ate
food,
pizza.
man. And the old
Mhm,
man.
the old man had a
The
sandwich.
Fine Cubano brought to you by Fine Cubanos.
And they're talking about their schools. And Nicole like just goes to like some like I mean, great, she got into college, but Andrew sees it as like, oh, it's not a great school.
It's not
And then
number
he-
one music school in the country.
Yeah, exactly. It's not a conservatory. And so then he's like, what do you major in? And she's like, well, I don't have a major. I just don't know yet. And it's like fucking like he just can't understand. Like, you don't know exactly what you want to do for the rest of your life every day.
And that was, just to point it out, before that, the date was going okay.
Yeah.
It wasn't being mind-blowing, but he was like...
They were awkward.
Okay, they were
Yeah.
vibing a little bit. First date awkwardness, yeah.
And then she's like, well, why did you pick
Schaefer.
Schaefer? Right. And then he's like, best music school in the country.
Yeah.
And then she's like, okay, well, not everybody can get into fucking Schaefer. And, it's just really is showing how much of a dick he is. And also, like...
He was a band nerd.
he was an
You
awkward
have
band
to
nerd.
stop and realize he is a band nerd.
But it's also, like, I think the movie at the end of the day,
course
like,
he's awkward.
If it's like analyzing any particular perspective, it's analyzing the perspective of the young guy who wants to be great, and like that's kind of what the movie's about. It's just like going through that psyche and what that feels like, and showing what it looks like from the outside. And you can kind of see this being a dick, but like it's just like the way he's the reason he says that is because like he can't even fathom what it's like to you don't know what you want to do.
Exactly.
You know exactly what you want to do.
Exactly. And so, which by the way, if you're out there, it's okay. If you don't know what you want to do.
If you're undeclared.
Andrew is not the hero.
Me and Dwayne had the conversation of like how is it like living in New York or like a big city where they have a lot of schools? Like that's kind of like a weird thing for us because like we went to college in a place
school
where they just had one.
Mm-hmm.
You know where like that person went to school. It's like the one.
Yeah, and it's weird how like people like judge people based on schools.
Right.
They're all like bumping uglies at the same bars.
Yeah.
Right, like they're socializing, but like they're kind of like, oh yeah, we're better than you because like our school, I don't know, like my mommy and daddy had to pay more money than your dad. Mommy and daddy.
My
Shouts
mom
out to all
fuck
the.
that person so I can get into school.
Yeah.
Yeah, goddamn right, I'm gonna fucking brag about it.
Ever heard of Lori Loughlin?
And so, and then, oh shit. Okay, so they're at their first competition since Andrew has joined the band. And there's this part where he's like peeking out from backstage into like this hallway and he sees Neiman chatting with like this guy and his daughter. And then he's former student. Great. Or sorry, yeah, Fletcher. My bad.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, no guy.
And so, he's like, she play any instruments yet? And then he's like, she just started piano lessons. And then he goes, oh, do you want to come and play with me? Like, he's really sweet. And he asks her, like, do you want to come play? Will you come play in my band?
You guys are reading into this too much. You're just nice to kids.
Huh?
You guys are reading into this too much.
You think
nice
that the
to kids.
movie,
No.
the movie's whole thing.
No one's so mean. They're just like immediately awful to a
No,
No,
I
he
know
wasn't
that.
awful to her. He was just like
It's
trying
like-
to set it up with her. Like,
it's like
hey, come
grooming.
Play music with me. Because his entire motivation as a character.
Okay, at the same time though, did you realize that there was no women in his band?
Which is alright. That's a question. That is definitely if we had one woman in this podcast. Let's be. It's Women History Month or something. Eventually, maybe we've are like in
At
order
some
to be
point.
sexually inclusive. Let's talk about the fact there was no female representation in this band. And in solidarity with women, I'm gonna go take a piss. I'll be right back.
You better sit down.
You better. God damn it. You stole my. God, fucking. I miss him.
The pee break. But yeah, no. So it is. He's just being a nice guy, as far as I see it.
I see it as like.
I get like how
They
it comes off. but
had
it's
it
like,
into the movie though. Like they wouldn't put it in there unless it was some sort of like weird malicious intent, right? Like, they're like building his character.
Because he's a malicious fucking bastard. First, he's like, oh look he's being nice to this little girl. But it's like, yeah, everyone's nice to kids,
Well, yeah.
especially with their parents right there.
I
When
just-
like to remember, like, I bet you fucking play piano like shit. I bet it's fucking off tune and it's fucking bad tempo.
I just think it's like.
Hot cross buns, you idiot.
Yeah, he like fucking drags her. I was like, play for me.
I see it as like similar. I'm not gonna say it's the exact same because one is obviously way worse. But like grooming children, where you're like,
Dangerous territory.
I know because there's been a lot of groomers recently. But I'm just saying I see it similarly as like, oh yeah, like let's talk him up, get him to trust me now, and then he's gonna fucking like ruin this girl's entire sense of self-esteem and everything as soon as she gets into his band, if she gets in.
Said the same exact thing when he was looking at that scene that he was grooming her, like that he was like doing like that to like get her to do the same thing as you just said, like.
That's how
I'm
I.
so
Same
glad Titan's on
analysis.
this podcast because I can take a piss and my opinion will just be said.
It still comes out.
Same
I guess,
boys.
at the moment, at least.
So it's actually kind of surprising that you guys both came to that conclusion because I saw that scene and I thought literally nothing of it.
You thought nothing of it at all?
Right.
And you thought that he was just that it was
I thought it was-
he's nice to
It's just a
kids.
scene. It's just
I thought it was
I think
eerie.
we're objectively right.
Yeah.
It's
I
eerie
think
because
so.
you see like what he really is, but then you gotta realize like if you also went to camera on you at all times showing your like fucking other side,
Here's the thing.
all interactions would be
I don't think that Fletcher is that much of a dick in his personal life. But
No,
but that was music related.
His
And-
goal at the end of the day, as he expresses in the movie, is that he is just the only thing he wants in life. The only thing he wants in life.
Be a chess
No,
master
no,
too,
no.
and he's gonna be like, sit down. I'm gonna fucking show you chess.
No, the
kid."
only thing that he wants in life, as he explained, is to make it so he creates the next Charlie Parker.
Fuck
That's
off,
the
he's just
only.
kids.
Exactly,
He's
they're
just a
just
little
kids.
girl.
He was talking to a former student and mentioned that, like, sure, it could be cute and stuff, but the way that the camera frames that, like, the fact that it's far away and, like, the child is so much smaller in frame than he is, and he's off in the act, like, it's supposed to feel like a backroom weird deal. Like, it's even if it accurately in life, if I saw a guy do that, that would not say that he's a bad person. That would say he's just being nice to kids. But through the context of the movie, I would say it was objectively saying that.
You
But-
boys
but
read this
okay.
shit so much, I bet you read every end user license agreement that pops up on your screen. Jesus.
Question, real quick. Do you think that it's something to do with like the sexuality of like him being a sexist? Because the only women musicians that he interacts with
He is
It's an
really.
interesting read.
are he calls the girl pretty, and that's why she's the.
That's a really
sitting in
good
the
point.
first
And
chair.
he's already immediately doubting her.
And then he's immediately doubting the kid, saying, "Are you gonna come like play for my band?" Blah blah blah. So like maybe.
And he doesn't. He doesn't have a wife or anything.
Yeah.
I assume because like
Later, though, at the end, with like that other band that he's got, there's just some girls in that one. I'm pretty sure.
yeah.
I think so.
The other,
Yeah, but
actually,
he's- I don't-
know. Is
I don't think
are
he's
there
in
any
contr-
ladies in that band at the end?
Oh, you mean at the very end in Carnegie Hall?
Was that in Carnegie Hall?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah,
shit.
there's a
I thought
poster
it was
for
the
it.
Lincoln Center.
No, there's a poster for it earlier in the movie.
Right. Okay. Cool. So
Mm-hmm.
fucking.
But I am curious if there was any girls in that band because I don't know.
Yeah.
If anyone wants to research that and email the podcast
Fucking research it.
at badcirclellc@gmail.com, just let us know if there
Watch the
are any girls.
movie after listening to us and see how poorly we explain
If there are
it.
any girls out there, like if there's like one girl.
Stop
like,
trying to get girls out there.
No, stop it!
If there's any girls out there,
Let's-
email me.
I hang out at Sin's bar.
You send nudes here.
And then
Stop opening every sentence with if there's any girls out there.
and if I don't see any attachments to those emails,
Yeah, you sound like you're rolling down your fucking window to your van like, are there any girls out there?
anyway,
Just expect nudes.
so then they're backstage once again, and Fletcher gives another one of my favorite lines in the movie, which is in regards to one of the folders that they keep their music in. If I ever find one of these lying around again, I swear to God, I will stop being so polite. I think that's funny. And then so at like their intermission or whatever in
Yeah,
between.
they do the one performance, which I believe was of Caravan, and they're gonna go back and play
Yeah,
Whiplash.
exactly. And then the douchebag drummer, I forget his name. He gives Andrew his folder because he's gonna take a piss.
Yeah, the one with the nose, right?
Yeah.
The guy who wore the Connolly. No, Ryan Connolly. Nope.
No, that's the.
No, Connolly is the redhead.
Yeah, it's the Irish guy. All right, whatever. He's the other
Yeah.
guy.
Andrew sets it down on a chair to get like a Mr. Pibb or some shit.
Yeah.
And then
For like literally 10 seconds.
exactly,
screen time.
yeah. And so then he comes back and he's like, "All right, where's the folder?" And he's yelling at Neiman. He's like, and then they go to explain it to Fletcher. He's like, "I gave it to Neiman," and he's like, "Why the fuck would you give it to Neiman?"
Right. That's one of the cool things. All right, so they go in there and they're like talking to Fletcher after he just said the whole thing about the folders, and they're like, "I gave it to Neiman," and that whole scene, J.K. Simmons is only looking at fucking the guy who gave the folder to Neiman.
Right.
He's only looking. He's only blaming him, and he's like, "All right, we'll get your ass on stage, play this shit."
And-
he's like,
He the douchebag drummer. He says, This is a line that makes me think, that gives me a theory about where the folder went. He goes, I need visual cues. You know this." He says that to Fletcher. He says, you know that I need that. It's a medical thing.
Fletcher took it.
Fletcher
you
took the
think?
fucking
I
folder.
bet he fucking
I think
did,
Fletcher
I
took
bet
the
you're
folder.
right.
That was obvious though, but like.
That was obvious? Okay,
think
this
that was
fucking got
obvious.
picked up on immediately. I've seen this movie 5 times and I never pieced that together.
Who else would have taken the folder?
This guy fucking gets.
He says maybe a
everything about the
janitor,
movie.
blah, blah, blah.
You know, alright, so here's the thing.
I mean, I always thought that it was Fletcher, but that line is like,
I'm just gonna say this. This is a little bit out of plot, but I'm just gonna say this as a point for Hobbins. So he has a way of reading the parts of movies he's not supposed to be able to read yet. Like he got to the point where he
Oh, you're the
Fletcher's
goddamn guy
Fletcher's
that's like-
going out. Fletcher's going out, and he's saying the thing about how his student died in a car crash or whatever. And in that pause before he says died in a car crash,
He said
Hobbit
killed
says
himself.
a joke said, "Oh, he killed himself," or what, which was an interesting joke. I don't approve of that. But so he made that joke, and then later on in the movie, he was fucking right.
Yeah, I
So-
picked up on that. I think my first viewing too.
Yeah,
Sure,
that
it
was-
felt like it was. Gonna Either way, I was just trying to suck a dick there.
I
You
do
also
also
asked the bad
after he
guy.
said that he died in a car crash, I didn't think that I was still right. I thought that he was like, oh,
Oh,
Yeah, you seem
Ah.
right about it.
That's how premonition works. But yeah, do you also like guess the bad guy in the Scooby Doo's too?
it's always the first person they meet. Did you
Yeah.
never pick up on
Man
that?
Carruthers.
It's not always the first.
It
Not
is.
always the first.
It is.
No, I think statistically it's mostly the first.
I honestly haven't done the math on this.
Did you also ever realize that in the show, it's never a real monster, but then in the movies it always is?
Right. Well, that was because the movies were trying to show the shows like, oh, you've seen the show. Movies, though, guys.
You think you've seen Scooby-Doo? Coming this summer,
You get what-
Scooby-Doo fights a fucking werewolf.
Well, that was
We're not fucking around.
That was Scooby-Doo 2 Monsters Unleashed,
Uh-huh.
which I actually went to the movie theater and saw on my 13th birthday. And it was
Really?
my 13th birthday, 'cause that's a really good movie, Scooby-Doo 2 Monsters Unleashed.
It is pretty good. I prefer it to the original.
And they had the toys. It was pretty lit.
Nice.
Scrappy-Doo.
So-
the end there.
Yeah, fuck Scrappy Doo.
The whole spooky.
That one was written by James Gunn, though. So
Was it?
The first Scooby-Doo movie written by James Gunn.
Nice.
Did anybody realize though that after the folder was gone and taken,
Thank God you got us back on track.
that that Fletcher had a folder. He had the music on his stand as he was directing.
Well, he's a
Well, he would already
So-
have, like, the
Right.
directors.
Right, but he had one. But like, if you were a director and your drummer, like a key person in the band, lost the folder, you know, like the person that keeps the beat to his tempo, you would imagine that.
As
I'm
some
a director, I would give my folder because I know all the shit. I
Well,
know
It's
that
writ-
was the thing. Is like everybody has a different folder. And it's got different shit in it. Like the drum folder has just the drum notes. I don't know what the composer's folder.
the composer's folder is fucking insane.
Is it just fucking?
It's so there's like from what I've seen, there's like 8 different staffs for each different section.
Wow.
So it's like, this is what first violin is playing, and this is what second violin is playing. This is what the drums are playing. This is what first, second, and third sax are playing. These are what the bones are playing.
Could you separate it out and give them the drum?
No.
You could.
You could.
Oh,
With
you
an
could.
like just easily, like you'd take the
Not
pictures out,
easily.
or, like with an X-Acto knife.
Yeah, you'd have to do it with an X-Acto knife.
Oh, okay, so that's not gonna happen.
could
Fletcher
you-
wasn't gonna do that.
Could you give them your folder, your composer's folder, and say this is the drum part?
Get fucked.
Yeah, you could.
Okay, so like it would be possible. Like,
But why? But
it
then
was clearly
you don't
this
know.
is, like, his
I mean,
fucking
Then you
intent.
don't have the music.
I'm sure Fletcher knows, but fucking, you know, you might not. You might be like, oh, they didn't fucking flat that, you know, when they were supposed to flat that. I'm sure Fletcher has it all memorized like to heart, but you wouldn't do that.
Also, yeah, you point out he probably did steal it or whatever. So it's just
He
like,
probably
yeah,
did.
yeah.
I think that was an interesting idea. All right, but then he even goes up on stage.
Because he has it memorized. That's the song that he's
Yeah,
been.
exactly. Because he's like, oh, it's you know this, it's a medical issue. I can't do it from memory or whatever. He's like, where are you fucking Sanjay Gupta? Just get on stage. Which I don't get that. I don't get that reference. I don't know who Sanjay Gupta is, but I thought it was funny because Sanjay Gupta sounds funny. That's racist, right? That one's definitely racist.
No.
Titan, help me
Who
out.
is Sanjay Gupta?
Son?
I feel like I've heard that name before. I just
Yeah,
don't
so
know.
have
I
I.
feel like he's a doctor. That's my best guess. But
You
that
just-
might be racist too, honestly. Please be a doctor.
For some reason,
Ooh, if
I
you
think
put-
that they're like
I think that guy.
Sanjay Gupta is an American neurosurgeon,
That's a
medical
doctor. Boom.
medical reporter, and writer.
Writer what?
Probably
Oh,
medical
shit.
journals.
Anyway, what were you
Saucy
saying? Something.
romance.
All right, but anyway, yeah. So he goes up on stage because he can actually do it by memory.
Yeah, and they fucking kill it, and they get
Yeah.
first place.
Get the dub right there playing Whiplash. He's like, you know Whiplash by heart. And he's like, "Ooh."
And so then we get this scene where Andrew is checking in with his dad.
Before we get there, one quick scene. The second time that we see Nicole, because they just had that date or whatever, and it ended with her smiling. So they were on a good page. They probably went and they probably been together a bit. But the next scene, right before that whole family dinner,
Kiss.
he's on the bus and he's watching a YouTube video of some drummer. or whatever.
Yeah.
And her text comes through and interrupts his ability to watch the shit. So that was just a visual hint of he feels like she's getting in the way.
That's Oh my god, that's wow. I never even realized that. Yeah, he's watching some Buddy Rich.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. Sure.
And so then we get this little scene where he's like checking in with his dad and stuff. And
Family dinners.
yeah, and he's like, yeah, I'm the core drummer, which means, and this is the best school, and so that means I'm probably like the best drummer of my age. I'm the youngest one in the band, and he's like, and then his dad says this thing. He goes, his opinion means a lot to you, doesn't it? And then he goes, yeah, it does.
Right. And then we get into.
And then we get the.
Him and his dad cooking together. And then we get it. I'll cue you for the football.
And then we get the dinner scene where they ask him for a second, like, oh, what's going on?
How's the drumming thing going?
The drumming, yeah, exactly. And then football cousins walk in.
Football cousin and speech and debate, which is somehow cooler than being a fucking drummer.
Yeah.
Dude, like his dad has never listened to Led Zeppelin. That's what I get out of this fucking movie.
There'll be no music in his house.
And so,
dude, his dad was a fucking music hater and a rabbit hater.
and so,
Those Bugs Bunny.
yeah.
Shuts out.
And so we get this scene where basically everybody's like talking about like, oh, what have you been doing? Oh, you could throw the ball really well? That's so cool, man. And then we get two of my favorite lines in the entire movie, which is how do you know who wins at a music competition? Isn't it subjective? No. and then we get this other one where he's like, yes, it's Division 3. It's not. You're not great. And then he's like, oh yeah, you don't think it's serious? Then come.
You don't believe in Carson football?
Yeah. Come play with us. And then Andrew says, 4 words you'll never hear from the NFL.
Yeah, but then his fucking dad immediately after, the audience is going, oh, when you're in like a cool theater, I guess most like cinema fan theaters. Sorry, man. Most like cinema fan theaters probably aren't going, oh, but like me and like we were both fucking proud of the owning moment. And then his dad immediately slides in and cocks him and says, "If you're back from Lincoln Center." Immediately, fucking his dad throws him under the bus and he stands up. After probably one of the best burns he's gonna have in his life. You only get like 4 of those.
Right.
Those 4 words you'll never have in the NFL. You only get like a handful of those in your life unless you're fucking Don Rickles.
That is an accumulation of many showers just arguing with yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
It truly is like that.
And it's all come together.
I was in the shower this morning. Like, if this fucking cousin shows up, I swear to God.
I had one of those the other day. Actually, we went to the Follies, and I was because
Virginia City?
yeah, and my director at the theater, she does the Follies, and so does her husband. He's my music director, and so we were shooting the shit with him afterwards, and off the record, I don't like my friend Skylar's girlfriend, and so she came.
Right now, Skylar.
She came with us, and I was like, yeah, Jess was messing with me while we drived. And then his girlfriend went, ooh, Titan made a mistake, and then clapped, and I went, ooh, so did Skylar.
What mistake did she make?
Skylar is my friend.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Skylar sounds like
Yeah, no, I get it.
That actually is a massive burn.
Right? Wasn't that good?
That is a massive burn.
It's not 4 words you'll never hear from the
That's
NFL.
like we were saying, like that's an A tier.
Also, he counted those words real quick. I don't know if that's just me, but I had to go back and go.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I know. I would never do it. That's 4 words.
Yeah, exactly.
He is a musician though.
Oh.
His whole life is counting shit.
Yeah, I would just go something you'll never hear.
You know, and slapped me 4 times. I remember how to count them.
I'm gonna toss this opinion out there right now. I don't know if anybody has a hard. If Katz was here, he might have.
I immediately disagree.
But you guys know Aaron Sorkin?
No.
Oh,
Like,
that name is really familiar.
He's the guy who wrote like Social Network.
Yes.
Two Good Men. He's written a lot of amazing movies. He's a really good writer, but the issue that Aaron Sorkin has is he writes every character to be dumber than the main character, so that the main character can have really cool lines to diss them. Whereas, in my opinion, at least the dialogue scenes in this movie, they're so witty. It was written in the way that Aaron Sorkin, like, I wish Aaron Sorkin wrote, where everybody's got their fucking line. Nobody's fucking just the smart one just because we need to root for Zuckerberg or whatever. Like,
Right.
it was actually just good dialogue, and nobody feels outpowered just to force the audience to like that.
Right.
Take that, Aaron Sorkin. All right.
And so
Appreciation trophy.
this dinner scene, I just want to wrap it up by saying is I'm pretty sure my favorite scene in the entire movie because it deals with some of the like main themes in the movie, which are like legacy and like fatherhood. Like cause like his dad throughout the whole movie doesn't understand him, but he supports him like unconditionally. He's there at everything he does. He's always like, oh, how's your drumming thing, and like he really does love his son, and he like goes on these little dates with him and like checks in with him.
Right.
But then
Yeah,
he's
and like even when he moves into his own apartment at the end, he's like, I loaded the cupboard up. With presents.
right.
And that's actually the things he loves him in like Dad doesn't quite get it.
Right.
Yeah, he loves him in a dad sort of where he's just trying to give him the thing to make him feel loved.
Exactly.
Like in the good dad, but I'm not. I can't know. Which all right. Let's move through the plot. This is the 45-minute mark of the movie.
Oh
Okay.
my god.
Did you have another point before we move on?
Yeah. So he has this dad who supports him but doesn't understand him, but he just keeps running back and trying to get approval from this dude who honestly like who gives a shit and doesn't give it to him. He will never give him that relief, He just keeps running back to the abuse.
Right.
And so
Now are we?
There's a few scenes we could skip because I think for the most part now it's just practicing.
the redheaded drummer shows up
Yeah,
and
this is when Connolly, the Irish kid drummer, shows up. The guy who was the first chair drummer.
Yes.
That's when he
in the
shows
shitty
up
band.
Yes.
Right.
I'm
to
aware.
replace
I watched it too.
And
Neiman.
there's a scene after they like finish up. There's this line where Fletcher goes, "All right, we have rehearsal tonight at 9 p.m. That's how long you have to learn this new song." And then Connolly comes in, and then he's like, "Oh yeah, I gave it to him this morning."
Right. So he intentionally planted Connolly in there.
exactly.
To know, and he was like, double time swing. Same
Well, that's
thing
what he
we-
first did with Neiman too. And then
Yeah, he
was
did,
better
and the
than
fact that he pitted
other
Connolly
guy.
against it, like it's interesting because like I don't know if Fletcher necessarily saw something in Neiman or if he just pits musicians against each other. I think that's more
It's
what
a
he's
bit
trying to say.
both things.
Because
But-
he didn't. He brought Connolly in. He said that he brought Connolly only in there to motivate Neiman, but he was also fucking manipulating him the whole fucking time.
But he
Exactly.
No, he did the same thing with his old drummer.
Yeah, he did.
But he
So, like,
didn't
it's-
because
he's like double time swing like the day before, and then he fucking walks out and it's like, "Wow, you're trash."
Oh, right, but he didn't replace anyone because he does give him Whiplash, but then he's like, "Not good enough. Practice more." And he gives him Whiplash, and he's like, "Not good enough. Practice more."
Dumb shish. You need to get that ready on a soundboard because this is the perfect movie to have. That
That was so close to when he gets some actual whiplash.
S- So then he makes Connolly the new core drum, and then he gets a phone call, and he goes into his office, and Neiman is fucking pissed, and he storms in there, and he's like, "That's my fucking part. You give me that part. I fucking..." And then Fletcher is crying, and he's like, "Not the fucking time. If you want the part, earn it." And then he leaves.
Right.
What do you think happened? Who was that phone call?
Well.
That's when he learns that the guy died.
Where he learned about Sean Casey.
Sean Casey. Yep.
Was he the one that was Elmer Fudd?
No,
No.
that was the kid who was the trumpet player.
Yeah, he
Played
graduated
the
a few
first
years
chair
before.
Lincoln Center and killed himself. Spoilers. Anyway.
However,
what's next?
he ended up being kind of great. That guy.
For a moment.
Yeah, and because
But he
Fletcher...
killed himself still.
Because then we cut to the 9 p.m. rehearsal, and Fletcher comes in, and he plays the CD, and he's not like he is any other time. And he tells the story. It's like this kid playing trumpet, and then he's like, he was a great player. I caught him practicing his scales. Everybody said that he couldn't do it, and he died in a car crash.
Right. And then, so, in between these two drum scenes, there was some stuff about how Connolly got basically told that he was going to be the core drummer now.
Yeah.
And that pissed Neiman off or whatever. And then there was another scene, the blood, sweat, and tears scene, and that was the one where Neiman was drumming and he was icing his hands, and the ice buckets were being filled with blood. But yeah, then we go into that where he talks about what the phone call actually was. And then they start the practice, and none of the three drummers, allegedly, since you're saying that the tempo thing might have been a lie the whole fucking time, none of the three drummers can play fast enough.
Right. And so for hours. I think it's till like
if you guys need to go take a dump, or
I
fucking call your girlfriend, go get some food, then go and do it because we might be here all night.
and they are. At the end it cuts and it's almost 2
and it goes until like midnight.
It goes till 2 a.m.
Yeah, and that was just before practice started. Too, right? That was just
Yeah, and then he goes, "All right, it's time to start."
But it's honestly like to people out there watching, like we're just going through the plot at this point. But if you haven't seen this fucking movie, like you're just stop listening to this, go watch this movie. But it's so they're rattling through the 3 drummers: the one who was there before Neiman, the one who was there to motivate Neiman, and Neiman. And they're just Fletcher saying fucking racial slurs and bullshit to all of them over and over and over again.
You look like a leprechaun. I'll call you some shit. That's fine. And then he's like,
So I'd like to bring.
Yeah, I'm Irish. I can say it's not like.
Finish listening to us.
You're not Irish or American. You just have Irish descent.
Yeah, pussy. You ever been to fucking Ireland? You fucking haggis eating shit.
Anyway, and then Neiman does what Fletcher told him.
Right.
He earns the part.
Neiman plays the right tempo. Eventually, Neiman plays the tempo really well, but he's covered in blood at the end. And like he's just fucking bled all over the drum kit, and Fletcher's just like faster. It's one of those scenes we can't really explain it plot wise why it was so dope.
Yeah. And then they have
watching at home. Fucking keep an eye.
They have another competition the very next day. There's a scene where they walk out afterwards, and then he's like, "Give yourself at least 2 hours to get there." Blah 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 blah. You know.
And that was after the practice got out at fucking 3 a.m. or whatever. That said, like the time they were supposed to get there was like 5 o'clock. So I was like, okay, you can technically sleep and you get like 8 hours, and then you have to wake up a little late. So it sort of works out. But Neiman's Neiman's bus tire flats.
And so then he's like, "I need a cab. The cabs come here."
Won't come.
You need to call the cabs, and they're gonna take a long time. And then he's like,
So
"Fuck."
he runs to fucking Enterprise Rent-A-Car.
And he rents a car, and he fucking leaves his sticks there. And so Fletcher's pissed at him already because he's late.
Because 5 o'clock was the call time. They're supposed to go on stage at 5:30 or whatever, and it's 5:02, and he's 4 minutes away driving. Because like the movie makes an emphasis out of like the second hand ticks 5 o'clock. And that's the call time. Fletcher's there. So they're already all fucking furious about him. He's like, fucking, they scream at each other. He's like, I fucking earned that part because Fletcher legitimately told him you earned that part after the whole fucking blood on the drum set thing.
Exactly.
And then he's like, well, fuck you. There's a bunch of screaming between him and...
And then he's like...
He calls Connolly Johnny Utah.
Yeah.
And...
And then he's like, and I usually give it to people who have their own fucking sticks.
Exactly. Which, you know, another little fucking emphasis in this thing, when Connolly first got brought in to...
he used Neiman's sticks.
So it's that much more of an asshole. And at this point, like, this is the part of the movie where it kind of, like, breaks down that Fletcher was just trying to do it for him, or to better a musician. Because, all right, so Neiman runs back, and he's like, fucking, we gotta be on stage at 5:30. If you're not there with sticks in hand and your own music, and you're fucking out forever or whatever, and I'll tell everybody you're a bad, bad boy.
Right.
Man, you touched my weenie.
Or you can let him have the part.
Let Connolly do it, yeah.
And so
he bolts back, and it's 5:31, or it's 5:30, and he gets the call. And he's still driving back, and he fucking runs a stoplight. Gets whiplashed! He gets whiplashed!
And so...
Like a semi-truck or something.
Yeah. His car gets eaten, basically.
Can you... Dude, he was not getting that security deposit back, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, like, he's gonna have to, like talk to some
I really hope he got the insurance, the rental insurance.
I believe it is a felony to run away from the scene of an accident, so he also made that.
Ooh, wow.
He was over 18 too. Pretty fucked. But then we cut into. He gets back on stage. He's covered in blood. He can actually hang in with Whiplash for a couple of minutes.
Ooh, and it does this part. It's another horror sequence where he goes to pick up the stick, and then it comes up, and fucking Fletcher was right there.
Right. Yeah, so he's just trying his best, and Fletcher's like screaming at him like, you're embarrassing me and shit, even though he's covered in blood, which is another fucking point.
With
like,
an open head
Fletcher's just a piece of shit. He's not a really fucking hard, artist-loving person. But anyway, it fucking happens. Like, there's the fucking bullshit with the... he gets back in there and he just can't play the song after a while. His fucking arm's broken. He can't fucking play the drums.
And so Fletcher stops the song in the middle, and he apologizes to... He goes, Neiman, you're out. And then he starts apologizing.
You're done.
You're done. And then he apologizes to the audience and stuff. And Neiman fucking tackles him, and he's like, I'll fucking kill you! And fucking the other drummers are pulling him off, and he's like,
He could play in football. He could play Division III. He fucking hit him hard.
Yeah, he did.
Then we do the quick montage of...
With a concussion.
Yeah, he fucking...
He got him down.
No, that's a Division III move right there.
He's probably good enough to
It's over. He still hit him.
Dude, he's probably going to play for Carlson football.
Yeah.
Fuck, how you play with that?
That also, shout out to the actor who played that, gave that "come play with us" line, because I bought it like that. Every football player who's like, the program is the most important thing.
Yeah.
That's exactly.
It really is.
But anyway,
This movie is now just like a lot of lawyers speak.
yeah. Now we're into the lawsuits. Finally, into the third act.
So.
Okay. So, Neiman gets an email, and it says, and this is all cut like cross-cutting. It's cool how they cut it, but like I'm just gonna fucking do it in the general details. So Neiman gets an email from the school, Schaefer, and it says, oh, because you attacked a faculty or whatever, you're not allowed in school anymore. And while that is going on, he's going through these legal proceedings, and they keep saying to him like, oh, well, like that guy who Fletcher said died in a car accident, he actually killed himself. And the depression and anxiety he suffered over his musicianship started when he was under Fletcher. So that goes all through it, and like it slowly wears him down until the end of the montage. Neiman says, "All right, sure."
And his dad sets this whole thing up, and then he says,
he didn't want to go out and
This,
call him out.
in my opinion, is the weaker part, because this is just 20 minutes of like,
right.
hey, we're really putting it by you. Fletcher is the bad guy. It's like, I know!
And so, and then his dad gives him a line. He says, "Why would you do this to me?" to his dad. And his dad gives this line, and he says, "There is nothing in the world more important to me than you." And like, as somebody who doesn't really have like that supportive of a dad, I love this dad.
Yeah, I know.
That whole thing.
That's like the best your dad can do, kind of shit. Like that's what you hope for. Just like that kind of.
And
shit.
so now he works at a sandwich place, which is kind of cool. He made an even better sandwich than that guy from the beginning.
See, that's why they established the Cubano. Because
exactly.
That was the moment where Neiman realized his true calling
was being a sandwich artist.
We get a nice montage where it's like him slapping the turkey and then sizzling the bacon.
But anyway, so Neiman's high on the hog. We had like 4 sandwich making montages.
Yeah,
he actually shook hands with Jared Fogle in the middle point. This was before the allegations.
It was actually after.
Okay. Well,
yeah,
but it was all right. I forgot about that. Damien Chazelle was actually
shakes
very
his hand,
pro
he says-
Jared Fogle.
Yeah, Jared actually got let out to shoot that scene.
And it was actually retweeted by Ryan Gosling. In 2017, he actually tweeted hashtag Jared did nothing wrong.
Hashtag free Jared.
Yeah, hashtag free Jared.
And then
that's what
$5
Whiplash
stuff
2.
on 5-year-old girl.
And then when
We
Neiman
all agree on the fact that Whiplash 2 is going to have a really hard Jared Fogle pro section.
and then when Neiman shakes hands with Jared Fogle, he says hashtag Jared did nothing, which I thought was a really
And they're
compared to all the other dialogue.
Frame the whole scene too, which is a little weird. And there was a foot long touching both of their dicks, but you know. And Jeffrey Epstein was a quick cameo earlier in the movie, but okay, there were a lot of issues with the movie. It was a little problematic. There weren't any women in the band scenes.
Right? Yeah.
So it really
And that
connected-
scene with the little girl, apparently Fletcher was actually friends with Jared Fogle and sent
Oh my
him
God,
to the
dude,
sandwich.
I didn't think about it, but we can check the mise en scène in that scene, dude. Jared Fogle might have been in the background.
He
I
was.
didn't check that scene for footlongs.
Oh my god, I think every
I didn't-
scene in this movie has a $5 footlong in it!
I didn't check that scene for his fat pants.
That wasn't right.
You remember that one scene where Zad's
just
like, look how
comes
much
around
weight
like-
I lost thanks to eating Subway.
Anyway, I don't know how I never like really. I don't. I don't know how I really internalized how I didn't internalize this part the last few times I've watched it. But him and his dad are watching a movie again together.
Yeah, they
But
are,
it's at his
new
house.
And his new apartment.
Because he doesn't want to go back to the movie place because that's where Nicole's at.
Oh, I didn't think about that before hashtag sad.
All right.
Nicole.
And also, there's no Raisinets in the popcorn.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Where do you get Raisinets other than a fucking theater?
I buy Raisinets at the dollar store.
Yeah, you would
You
buy
actually buy
Raisinets.
I really like
You've
Raisinets.
given money to Raisinets.
I don't eat like
Dude, like,
Or something you get for free at like I feel like a homeless shelter. Or they just have, like,
those are government.
They give you them in those little like paper cups that are like this big, and you get 4.
They're
like the neighbor don't clinics hand them out as snacks.
Whatever boxes, like those little tiny like Auntie Anne's. I don't know what the fuck they are.
I think if you buy a 12-pack of ramen, it comes with a couple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like,
It's the only way they can move.
Please eat some fruit.
Please.
Who the fuck would put fruit into a finally good fucking tooth ruiner?
The last time I ate raisins, I was sitting at the train station in Milwaukee, and the homeless shelter came to the train station, just asked people if we wanted a free lunch. And I was so suspicious.
You already looked very
I was so
There
suspicious.
was definitely some MK Ultra.
I
shit.
thought you were gonna say that they came and took the raisins from.
These are for homeless people only.
They came and they're like, "You want free lunch?" And I was just like, "Okay, what?" Nobody else questioned it. Everyone else just took the free lunch, and I was like, "Why are you guys giving out free lunch?"
See, no, that's when you can tell your privilege. Because if you get offered a lunch, if you question it, that's called privilege.
Mhm.
Okay, well,
It
then
really
that was
is.
my privilege, but I was like, "What is going on?"
It is
Why?
tough for me as a Midwesterner not to like see like the free hot dogs at the store open and be like, well, I guess I won't go. It's like, free hot dog. I don't know.
See, this guy's from. Well, you're not a Midwesterner.
I'm
You're
a
a Westerner. He's a
You're a
Midwesterner.
Westerner.
I'm the most Western.
Well, we're both.
Call me California the way out.
Because like Midwesterners actually look down on Montana. Midwesterners are like, what's your Great Lake?
Fuck you, Midwest.
Yeah, I know.
All right.
It's fucking
You're
hard.
fucking
is
mountains,
not
you
fucking
fucking
true.
pussies.
Yeah, I know.
So-
I know, this guy's always on about the
Cool,
Great
we
Lakes.
got lakes. We got
No.
fucking big sky
We
rocks.
do it. Okay. Also, you guys are gonna like fucking dry, like tap your fucking aquifers dry, and all your land is gonna fucking dry up. I'm gonna be pumping that shit.
Speak
out.
for
Have fun with your
speak for
salt.
yourself.
Dude, fucking Flint, Michigan doesn't even have water, motherfucker.
Yeah, okay, that's
Speak
what
for
I want
yourself.
you
I
to
basically live in Chicago now.
Wait, you're already living in Chicago? How's that
Fish
happen?
pee.
Okay, but
No,
anyways, the
I choose
fucking-
my room in a couple of
That
days.
lunch that they gave me was filled
That's
with
really-
those little tiny boxes of raisins. Like I had like 6 of them in there. And I was like, raisins? When's the last time I ate raisins?
Here's a piece of fucking 6 boxes of raisins. Good lunch. Bye.
They gave
All right.
me like a peanut butter
You
toast
got me.
sandwich where,
Midwest
like,
is a lot better than the West, I guess.
where you get like one half on peanut butter and the other half's like jelly, but it's like soggy jelly bread. And those are the kind of sandwiches that the
So Fletcher.
Fletcher's playing piano at a bar in Neiman's neighborhood.
Yeah. And so Neiman like tries to leave after the song, and also
That's a good point. Did you put the
Don't let him
There-
raisins in there?
they're at a jazz place, but they weren't playing jazz.
Well, so what is jazz, man? See, that's what this kind of movie like nailed into my head. It's like I don't know what jazz is. Well, Fletcher was playing actually. It was either Caravan or Whiplash. I don't remember, but it was one of those songs in like a jazzy piano. version.
Really?
Yeah, it was the same melody. If you listen
Oh
back
wow.
to it, whatever song was the song they were playing when Neiman fucked up, or when Neiman just got hit by a car, so of course he was gonna fuck up. Then that was the song they were playing.
That was
He
Caravan.
Yeah, he was playing. Yeah, he was playing a jazzy version, like a more chill piano cover
Carry
version.
that, more like carrying me on my wayward son, because we're almost done with this movie.
Yeah, we gotta get through.
And so Neiman.
something that I
Go ahead.
thought that when he like broke like the director's command or whatever, when he like carried on playing, I thought he was going into like full like jazz of like people like improvising and doing that, like he's like, I'll cue you in. But
Oh.
then it didn't turn out that way.
Are you
So-
talking? Oh, okay, all right. So
I thought that was gonna
at the
like
conclusion.
yeah, like at the conclusion.
All right, let's speed run this point here. So
Okay.
before we get to the
Stop
conclusion,
it
I'm just gonna speed run it.
Okay.
Fletcher is at a bar. He's playing piano. He's playing a piano version of Caravan, and Miles Teller Neiman just happens to move in, and walk in and see him. And as he's walking out the door, Fletcher sees him, and he's like,
Double time, go on, faster, faster.
when Fletcher sees him, and he's like, holy shit,
You're dragging.
that's
Give me a double time swing.
And then he comes out, and then he goes up to Neiman, and he's like, hey, Neiman, like, how's it going? They have, like, a bar conversation. They're talking to each other. Neiman in the previous scene admitted that, or was told by the lawyer that if he was to accuse Fletcher, then he would not be known as the person who
Oh,
accused
you're
him.
dragging, you're dragging.
As the person who accused him. So Fletcher was now... Man, this is just fucking... This is like ADD fucking...
Westerner lagging.
Yeah, I'm being fucking waterboarded right now. So Fletcher was like, oh, I don't know who fucking kicked me out of Schaefer, but you've heard of left there. And like, Neiman's like, yeah, I've heard you left there. And like, because he's like, because he actually knows how he left. And then Fletcher's all like, yo, yeah, so I left because one of the people in the Sean Casey's grade said I was a bad boy and I was the reason Sean Casey killed himself or whatever. And then he's like, oh, well, and then he explains the entire point of what he is. He's like, the reason I did this was to push you. The reason Charlie Parker, was that who it was? Charlie Parker got the... Joe Jones threw a symbol at...
Charlie Parker.
Charlie Parker's head was because he wanted... The only way to force somebody into greatness, the only way to push somebody into greatness...
is to kill them. That's why we killed Buddy Holly.
By pushing them beyond their... Well,
Buddy Rich.
No, it was Buddy Holly.
Buddy Holly didn't have any good records after he crashed
Gotcha.
the plane. Like, no shade on fucking
Oh.
Buddy Holly.
Got you.
You didn't know Buddy Holly was killed by the CIA?
So he was like, everything I did to you and everything I did to everybody, it was just, and this is probably the only time Fletcher doesn't lie in this movie. It was saying everything I've done was just to make it so you're the greatest musician ever. So he invites Neiman to, hey, come and do this like jazz thing with me. The drummer's not cutting. We're just gonna do a bunch of old Schaefer favorites.
Quick note. Fletcher was trash in his fucking piano. He was like playing slow as fuck.
That's why he's a director.
Impressive. Anyway, go back.
I thought it was pretty good piano. But
All right, you play
I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
but this guy not good enough for this fucking guy.
Yeah, come to my field, play my piano. Yeah, come play around with us a little bit.
And then
trying to play some hurling, bro?
So Neiman decides, all right, I'm gonna go play.
Toss a cymbal, bro. Come on, let's go.
Something I practiced at, you saw?
Neiman decides I'm gonna go play in the show, and he calls up his dad, and his dad's like, yo, I'll come. And then he calls up Nicole, and is like, yo, I'm sorry I was a douchebag to you. You want to come? And she was like, nah, I'd have to check with my boyfriend, which I'd have to check with my boy. Those are the 7 deadliest words in the English language. But it really broke down our boy Neiman, and so now he doesn't have the girl coming, but he can still do the big old fancy jazz show. We're there. Fletcher's like, all right, guys, make sure you're on top of your game, because if you're not, then everyone's going to see that, and they're going to think you're a fucking big dumb piece of shit. And then Neiman takes the stage.
They're also very young looking. I felt like they were fucking junior high kids.
And there may or not have been women there.
They were like high schoolers.
Yeah, because Fletcher in the bar was like, it's all the old shit that we played when you were in school, so if you still have that, that's cool. But it wasn't!
Shout out.
Had fucking filled us
Really
up to
quick.
the rim.
Shout out to Butte Brewing Co. for supplying the beer.
Shout out. Shout out real quick.
Also, if the redhead is listening to this, please email.
No
Send some attachments. That's how
women on the
That's how I'm gonna ask for nudes from now on. Come on, baby, send them attachments.
But so anyway,
It's almost out in his mouth.
so he goes up there. He goes up there and he starts playing the drums. But he's like, oh, we're gonna do a new song all of a sudden. So Fletcher was setting up Neiman to fail in front of all these big wigs of the industry.
So he'll never play professionally.
Yep, because they just played through a whole song and Neiman was trying to fake it, and Fletcher intentionally didn't stop it because he wanted Neiman to have to struggle through the whole thing. And then even when Fletcher like calls cut on the song or whatever, then Neiman's still drumming because he just wasn't ready for that shit.
And he walks backstage. He's fucking embarrassed. His dad's there, and he's.
Fletcher comes up to him and says something too.
Oh, do you think I'm a fucking idiot?
That was the repeat of "Have fun with it." Before this show started, he said "Have fun."
Oh, that's cool. And then he's like, "Do you think I'm a fucking idiot? I knew that it was you that talked to the feds or whatever."
Right before it goes fucking live. Right before it goes fucking live. And then so he goes back and cries, and he like looks at his dad, and his dad says something like, "It's okay, you don't have to worry about that shit." And then he just fucking rips off his jacket, which is a big Fletcher thing the whole time. He fucking rips off his jacket and goes back on stage, and basically like what else can you say? He has the drum solo that goes through. It makes it at the beginning of the drum solo. He smacks a cymbal and hits Fletcher in the face. By the end of the drum solo, Fletcher was fixing his cymbals. And by the end of that drum solo, his dad was looking at him with his mouth wide open. It was... School of Rock is the only other movie...
And his eyes popped out of his head, and he went, "Awooga!"
My boy, play the drums!
This is one of those movies
His tongue
where
rolled out onto the floor.
Get
Power-
the three out of here!
the power of music destroyed evil. That was basically the ending of the movie. And Fletcher was right, because he abused Neiman into the greatest moment of all time.
But also, was it worth it?
That's the question.
That's the question.
That's
All
what
right.
it's today. Sorry, you were
Do you have that
you
sound?
wanted
You
to.
don't have the sound effect. Right here.
What sound effects? Vamp for me. That's a music term.
What do you mean?
Are you
Oh,
playing
like
right now?
melt the cups.
Yeah, vamp.
Oh, okay. So like milk. So yeah, so like.
And so what did you guys think as a whole about this movie?
I Hobbins, tell me, because you're the fucking, like, we're all gonna suck. Brad, do you have any dick to suck on this movie?
I don't have any dick to suck. It was a good movie. You know what? It was well paced. It was well put, and it told a story. And I was like, this was, in every sense of the word, the best movie that it could be presented before me. So I liked it. It was, it's not gonna be one of them like, hey, you should watch this. But it's definitely like, yeah, if you like drumming and stuff, and like fucking J.K. Simmons being really intense.
I agree with you on that point. Like if you're like kind of like a music like buff kind of guy or girl, maybe not so much the girls because like it's a little bit sexist. Anyway, like fucking if you're a music person and you like really are into like all that like very like musical shit and you also have like the ear for it, maybe it's a better thing.
If you liked Baby Driver, you'll like this.
I love Baby Driver.
Yeah.
It's a movie that made me want to make movies.
I love Baby Driver. This, not my cup of tea.
Baby Driver was a lot more action heavy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But anyway, so I just really loved this movie. I think it's a great movie.
But Baby Driver was also similar because this movie has a lot of subtle details that you don't pick up on at first, and they really make it.
And how they use their shots. I was telling Hobbs a while ago, like how Baby Driver was like when it's very calm and set, it's all like one take, continuous take for Baby Driver. Whereas this one, it's very cut when it's like supposed to be relaxing. But then like they use the long takes for when it's like a very intense moment.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, look at all the cedar. Look at J.K.
All right. Well, are we ready to move on?
Yeah, let's walk into the.
With a what?
Is it playing? Did the music play?
I grabbed you too soon.
You've been touching me the whole time. You and me are not going to hear it.
YouTube isn't playing Vamp for me.
Oh, God. I hate
The fuck, YouTube?
It makes me feel bad.
I'm going to download the sound clip so it doesn't buffer.
How do you just... Well,
We don't really touch each other other than like when we're fighting.
Eric and I have never touched each other without a balled fist.
Yeah.
There you go.
that's the best time for it to play.
Okay.
All right.
Here we are. We're in the. Alright, you're the leader.
All right. Now, everybody, we've seen this movie. We've enjoyed and kind of this movie. I want to hear your ideas. Give me your sequel, prequel, reboot, fucking spin-off. Let's start with the new boy. Let's start with Eric.
You're the little baby boy.
Okay. So this is probably like we'll see how it feels. So I think that it should go into like an after the fact, after the graduation, after the feeling of like becoming a great, like okay, like wow, we finished and it was amazing. You're like a pro drummer now, like, and everyone's like wow, standing ovation, like you're just
Miles, we love you.
the best, yeah.
Oh, Andrew. Sorry.
Andrew,
you still play the drum and
But
come to my deli.
I think it should turn into like how what's that movie where like Bradley Cooper and what's her face singer
Oh no.
Rashida Jones.
Cher.
Jennifer.
no the singer she's like Lady Gaga, so like Bradley Cooper
Oh, A Star is Born?
yeah, so like kind of I think it should turn into something kind of like that where like he like needs him at first, and like he like gets him into like becoming like a super big thing, but then he like just shamefully sheds him and destroys him for being such a dick.
Okay.
Is this Nicole?
And then
doing this, or is it different?
No, this is Neiman to
Neiman and
Fletcher.
Oh, okay.
So like Fletcher is like, this is my prodigy. I found my drummer. I found my great, and Fletcher's like all in on him, and then Neiman just burns him so hard, and Fletcher ends up sharing the same fate as his student that hung himself.
So it wraps around to Fletcher.
Yeah, it wraps around to Fletcher as in like like your sins are punished kind of thing.
Why did I think that you were gonna say he ends up sharing an apartment with Neiman?
It's like 2.5
And they just make boner jams all day.
Yeah, no, definitely not. It pretty much just like A Star Is Born second half. Like if you split A Star Is Born into like 2 movies, because like that's what it would have.
Okay.
Right. Actually, that sounds like a cooler version of Star Is Born to me.
Because A Star Is Born is just way too long. They need to like cut that into 2 movies. It's just...
Okay.
I'd way rather fuck J.K. Simmons.
Yeah, honestly. Have you seen him now?
No,
He like trained just to voice Omni-Man.
Cooper?
He's
I was talking
ripped.
about rather than Lady Gaga.
Oh, what? What?
She's a meat suit wearing triangle.
Yeah, she really is.
I'll let her wear my meat
Yeah,
suit.
I think she's pretty. I think she's
I'd turn her into a meat suit.
I would let her be my meat suit. Eric Hobbins, 2020.
That's
2021.
Is that it? Do you have any like specific like, this would be a really cool scene, or like?
Emotional journey.
full frontal with Nicole.
Well, yeah, that makes sense.
Obviously.
Pretty much
Obvi.
but yeah, we could rekindle it with Nicole.
Just for a quick.
Who cheats on her boyfriend because Neiman is successful and these hoes ain't loyal.
And Fletcher walks in, he's like, "Come on, double time swing."
I want to hear them cheeks clapped.
Or like Fletcher has like a hand in destroying Nicole as well, like on his path.
Because Neiman starts like focusing on Nicole a little bit because she comes back to him.
And he like burns her like
Fletcher burns
through it, and like that, that could be like our like single-handed movie, like your justice is kind of served, because like you can't really bring it from the last movie like alone.
So do we feel for Nicole at all? Like, is she just back because now Neiman's successful?
Like no, I think like Neiman, is still interested in her, but like Fletcher goes out of his way to, attack her and like purposefully like.
Oh, so she
ruin
does.
her.
So she doesn't go back to Neiman, but Neiman still wants her. Is that what you're saying?
Like no,
Connections
like
in
Fletcher.
the college world to like sabotage her own like path.
Exactly, like because like Fletcher's kind of like, I will like destroy anything that comes in the path of greatness.
Yeah, because like he sees like sometime when Neiman like could have gone harder or something, but he sees this girl on the fucking sidelines distracted.
It's not that
Lost
like
all your energy fucking last night. You couldn't give me my fucking double time swing. Yeah.
330 beats per minute.
exactly. Like I think that like because like he's like Fletcher is still like he's the bad guy. He's the ultimate bad guy.
Obviously.
And he needs to like pay the price. Nicole is like she's like actually like a good person, like she's just destroyed.
If she comes back just because Neiman is so rich.
Actually, we could even have
The dynamic play on like what does
You
it
could-
mean to like what is
so
that
like you can
person?
have it where like Nicole even ends up like committing suicide.
That'd be
And that would be like
very
out of
dark
Fletcher's
suddenly.
Jesus.
do, because like like maybe that'll prove that like Fletcher will stop at nothing.
What if he just kills her?
Murders.
Go all the way, yeah, just have her kill
Yeah,
her.
like, I don't know. Like, he doesn't. He will stop at no
So how far after the end of the first movie is this?
like. Wait, he's in his first year, so we're gonna have to like go after like. Graduation.
Well, he can't go back to Schaefer.
He doesn't have to go back to Schaefer anymore.
Yeah, and he doesn't
He's
have to
already
either.
great, Yeah, like he already like was like proved himself. in front
Yeah,
of
like
everybody.
Zuckerberg didn't go back to Harvard after.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like I think okay, like we can just do it like instantly afterwards.
Okay,
Cool.
stepping off the stage.
Can we pick up after that last cymbal hit?
Yeah, that would actually, as far as like if I was watching Whiplash 2, starting it out with like the cheers
Whiplash,
after
sure.
the end of that drum hit, sounds like a good mix.
Because it could
Yeah,
work. 'cause,
it's like The
that-
Incredibles too.
Maybe like
Is that,
like
oh yeah.
the influencers of the time of like of New York are like sitting in that auditorium and they like come up and like start
Hi, I'm Jeffrey Epstein.
yeah.
How would you like a private jet plane ride?
You like? Do you like little girls and foot rubs?
Like Jerry Seinfeld. You like
Oh yeah, cause they won't let Jared out of prison anymore. He got that.
Yeah,
He got
dude,
that
you
one
fucking
cameo.
Jared in your version.
We could get that one firefighter that we saw to play Jeff.
Just so. Oh, okay, I like that.
My favorite is the meatball marinara.
Oh,
That's
that's
a
a
good
good
one,
sub.
too.
Like
That
that
is a
meatball
solid
sub.
sub.
We could get that firefighter from East Middle School to play Jeff Epstein.
Just like him. Anyway.
All right.
You want to give him a task or anything? We discuss the others.
I want a little more meat on the bones. I want to know how it ends, and then I want a
Dwayne,
okay middle.
That's your job.
this is where like if somebody like came to me and was like, you need to figure out how to put some meat on the bones of this movie, I'd be like, Dwayne, I need you to put some meat on the bones.
So, Dwayne, could you put some meat on the
I want
I'd
a
like to delegate that to Dewan.
I want you
Explaining something.
I want you to give me a 3-second synopsis when I come back to you. I want how it starts, I want the middle, and then I want how it ends.
You mean 30 seconds?
Well, I already gave you like
Huh?
You mean 30 seconds?
start man.
You said
I said 3 sentence.
Oh, you said 3 seconds.
Oh, did I? 3 sentence.
3 sentences, beginning, middle, and end.
All right, I'll come back to you.
I feel like I've given you that.
Fletcher, but what if? And then.
Okay.
I got it for you right there. You done.
There you go.
Douanier.
Okay. All right. So what I'm going with is just because I really like this movie, like I said, and I personally do not want to remake it in this medium of film.
Okay.
So the way that I would remake this film is in a video game.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say TV show. Let's go video game. What's up?
In a video game.
What?
Intense Parappa the Rapper?
I thought a lot about this, and I was trying to think.
Rock band involved? What happens
Kind
if
of,
you fail?
okay,
Do you kill
so
yourself? Is it just
the-
a shot of Andrew Dean with a shotgun in his mouth?
The Guitar Hero rock
You
band.
like fucking Laura Croft this thing where like there's multiple different death scenes. Yeah, I mean, fuck up.
Oh, shit, like some kids are gonna be like playing with their dad's shotgun.
Have you ever played?
It's fucked.
Have you ever played Rock Band Guitar
Oh,
Hero?
yeah.
Have you played story mode?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's never been really that much story there.
Right.
You know? Like even in the Beatles rock band.
It's just like, oh, this is the next town that you're
Yeah.
going to.
So what I want to do is I want to make like a drum hero. And you know, honestly, you can have different. Like we could even disrupt the entire like guitar playing video game industry because we could add in trumpets and shit. We
Oh,
could add, like,
yeah.
different stuff like especially with like the Nintendo Switch even has like capabilities in it to be able to like pick up like breathing and
You
like
and your
blowing.
band geeks can now get together and play Whiplash.
You totally
Video
can,
game.
dude. You can play Whiplash.
Get
the
12
game.
of your best friends to all get
All right.
together
What? So
and
that's
have
the
What's it
like,
rated?
Fletcher screaming.
What's it
you.
rated? I'm gonna call it. Like,
Do we get all of our
Yeah.
Fletcher screaming? So
Yeah, no, I'm calling it man.
M,
I'm calling it-
just for language.
Yeah, no, just straight up language M because of the story.
And you're playing your fucking heart out and nailing it, and Fletcher's just, you
Yes.
idiot,
No,
you're
yeah.
trash.
All right. So I got three game
Imagine
modes.
Fletcher's
I got
like,
three
stop,
game
stop,
modes.
stop. Bones. One more
my
time.
tempo.
Wins.
Three game modes.
You, right there, player 6. Get your shit together.
Player
Three
6.
game modes. We got band mode, which is just general rock band. You can play it, fucking hit the notes, and,
And
it goes.
Fletcher's
You get
just
next-
outside
No, shut the
screaming
fuck up! Shut the fuck up!
because
Shut the fuck up! You get three modes. First one's the band mode, where you're just playing a classic rock band style. Second mode is the story mode, and that's like the number one thing that sets this game apart. It's gonna have an actual story based around Whiplash, where we're going to try to make it so the gameplay loop actually physically hurts the people playing it. You
Okay.
have to play drums, and you have to fucking bleed and shit. You don't have to necessarily bleed. But you have to play fucking so long that it starts training your muscles.
Can we add an aspect? I'm already digging it, but if this is made, can we add an aspect kind of similar to Animal Crossing, where you have to log in at a certain time every day?
The practice mode, I like that.
So-
I
okay,
like that.
so
No, that's a good
it's-
idea.
It's not bad enough that like we see this one individual being like preyed upon by this one sadistic.
Now you
fuck.
could be
We need to bring it to our nation's
When you get, no, here's how it works, too.
It's
So
rated.
when you get to
It's
the final mission, when you unlock it, so that's like after you beat the story mode, with the ending being like the craziest drum solo ever, like it takes like 12 minutes of non-stop fucking
you're not
arm
bleeding, you're
movement
not
shit,
winning.
especially in the hardest difficulty. So like you fucking get to that, and then as soon as you beat it, then you got like the new game plus mode, which is the thing where you have to log in every day.
Okay.
You have to beat
Okay.
that 100% on expert every day, and you keep a streak going. And if you can do that for 100 days straight, then you get the fucking #1 gold platinum achievement. Or
Can we also do you know how like in the Batman Arkham games when you die, whoever killed you, like they get their own scene in like a dark room where they're like,
oh yeah.
Batman, you fucked up.
Sure.
The Laura Croft, so like depending on how bad you fuck up, you get a different suicide scene.
Sure.
It's Fletcher.
And then, all right,
Yeah,
so
so,
then
so you're dragging, so he just chucks himself.
And
you
so
know,
it's-
like, you make your own character too. Like you're not just
you.
you're not just
Exactly you.
memeing, and you like you type in your like personal history. Like my dad did not like how gay I was, or whatever the fuck your dad did. Like,
And we could do the thing that they did in Fallout 4 where we program him to say a bunch of different names.
Exactly. And then so I didn't even tell you about the third game mode though.
Real quick question: if you do get to the point where you like get 100 days on expert perfectly, and you get this gold platinum thing,
Yeah.
can you throw a symbol at like the director's head.
At Fletcher's head.
Yeah, actually, you know, we'll allow
Fatality.
that to be a final like cutscene, like
Yeah,
just for the
like-
completion.
Like a
I
finishing
agree with
move.
that.
Technically.
I agree. And then so the third.
You get a
game mode
drum
I
on
didn't-
Fletcher's body.
The third game mode I didn't even mention is called Fletcher mode. And that's like if you make a mistake, like we're actually gonna hook electrodes up to the drum kit.
All right.
Fucking just and like headphones, like we'll just blast you in the ear if you like when that scene where he's hitting the cowbell next to his head. Like we're just gonna like there's Fletcher mode, which is basically just be abused into perfection.
Okay.
What if you can Fletcher mode actually sends you down to the people that are attempting gold?
And just abuse them?
Oh my
Okay,
God.
So if you get the
Competitive.
Gold platinum trophy, if you get the gold platinum trophy, then you get.
There can only be one at a
Fletcher
time.
And abuse them, yeah.
There can only be one-
the number one.
At a time. And he gets to abuse everybody else.
Yep.
If you die in Fletcher mode, you die in real life.
And the Fletcher. And Fletcher mode, we it can even have so Fletcher mode has like what's called the not my tempo counter, and it gets faster as you fucking play.
Okay.
The
You can
longer,
set to whatever.
yep, you can start out with whatever setting, but it won't listen to you. It's just gonna fucking Fletcher you as soon as it realizes you're not fast, you're not good enough at this. You're going too fast. You're going too slow.
So
It's gonna
is it
fucking-
rated M for language and trauma?
Yeah, it's rated for. Well, mine's
It's a
rated
T for
AO
trauma.
because this might be a Geneva Convention thing. In a certain
Okay.
point. Like this could
Gotcha.
truly
This is gonna get banned in
the
Ireland.
next
This is
like fucking. We think that TikTok is poisoning people's minds. Like this is gonna fucking poison.
We'll come
people's
out right
minds.
away and say, technically, this is torture.
this is
Technically, but fucking, it's also got the Nintendo seal of approval.
this this is the Manhunt 2 of rock here or rock band.
Yes,
I can see that. Seeing that video games making kids play music, but also killing
dude.
themselves.
Picture like the amount of publicity we have. Like they're saying like video games go down a new path, and then they just cut to kids with blood all over them, they're
And they
like, "Go
can't
to
stop."
GameStop, motherfucker! And we just get the CEO out there, and he's like, "Go fucking buy the game," and then we just sell millions.
And fucking oh my god! And we
Then
could
we'll put in a battle royale mode.
we could base all of the marketing around you won't finish this game.
Yeah, exactly.
You're not good enough.
It's 100% based on the John Romero wants to make you his bitch method.
Exactly.
It's entirely based on that.
The use just like is there before you even start playing.
Exactly.
100%.
You won't buy this game. I know you won't. You're not good enough, and you know it.
Straight up
That'd be
bucket. But that's
great.
my idea. Because personally, I just I don't want to add anything to the movie, so I just wanted to come up with a new.
Gotcha. And so they have to lock this game behind the counter at GameStop.
Yeah, no, you have to be fucked. You have to.
You have to
show an
sign a
ID
waiver.
before you can buy this shit. You have to fucking bring your parents and your grandparents. No, we're doing the bones
Sign
side.
a will.
This is gonna be the first game that's been marketed
A life
entirely
insurance policy
around
on this
your
game.
mom doesn't want you to play it.
Only take progressive.
In a while. They don't market games like that anymore. They used to back in the day. It was all about like your mom doesn't want you to play Red Dead.
Your mom will walk out on you if you play this game.
I hope you like your dad because your mom's leaving.
we
But fucking
we
Rock Band Whiplash.
we add a system where it hooks up to your phone, and if you fuck up enough, it'll send condescending text to your mother.
If we can get Harmonix or whoever the fuck owns guitar or whatever, I think what we'll call this is Band Hero Whiplash. Or
Oh.
Drum Hero Whiplash.
Drum Hero, yeah.
Drum Hero Whiplash.
All right, I like it. I really do.
Alright.
You made a good point. I don't know what else you could add to this movie. I mean, I had an idea.
I kind of liked his whole.
I did. But like, I just had no ideas. I didn't know what you guys were gonna do. Reinventing it in a new medium. I liked it, and you had some good ideas.
He's got some t-shirts.
I had an idea coming out here too, and I'm kind of mad that you also went a different way. But I have a series of words for you. I didn't count how many exactly, but Whiplash, the drumming instructional tape DVDs. J.K. Simmons in your own home, verbally abusing you to play better. Become the Whiplash musician,
Yeah.
the best drummer you can be. It will come with a snare pad. It will come with a 12-set DVD. 2 of those DVDs are just verbal abuse.
Okay, so mine's a video game and yours is actually like a
Learn how to
drumming
play the
instruction.
drums, yeah.
Okay, interesting.
Play until you bleed.
So I'm pitching you Rock Band, and he's pitching you what was that called? Like guitar something, like Guitarsmith. It was like a thing where you actually like had to buy a thing that plugged into your Xbox and into your guitar.
Gotcha.
So
Wow.
he's pitching you like the thing that didn't sell any copies.
Yeah, I'm pitching you like how to play this song on the piano YouTube tutorial 2018.
Gotcha.
But a 12-pack DVD.
But it's well packed.
The Synthesia or whatever that thing is called.
It's like my first recorder.
My first. And it's got Fletcher.
Dude, you got, like, I thought that a recorder was not an instrument that needed the my first category.
But this is
For
it's
dummies.
Listen,
Washing your balls.
This has
for
a
dummies.
specific. This has two sets of people. One who want their drummer kid to succeed and be the best drummer they could be, and two, the parents who don't want their fucking kids to be drummers.
Ah, interesting.
Oh.
Man,
Okay.
I can
Because you
just,
set
I
this
can
up
just
with them, and it's like
see.
you want the kid to succeed. It's like don't listen
So
don't
it's
listen to
marketed
tape
towards
12.
Is it marketed towards parents? Is that the deal?
It could, yeah, a little bit. Because of course, who's gonna fucking market like? I guess like the you can
I'm
play
saying-
guitar too.
I'm saying that's never gonna sell. Things marketed towards parents.
Who else has the fucking money? Are you, the fucking Tiger Moms? Asia, China. Listen, I'm saying we fucking take this
He's
east
talking
side,
about-
land of the rising sun. We're saying
He's
this
going
shit will make your
overseas.
fucking kid be the war drumming motherfucker that you want him to be. And they're gonna say, oh, okay. That's it. you got like really
That's what
stunned
they
like you
say.
thought I was gonna keep going.
No, just keep going. We here at Bad Ideas.
Stop
we try,
it,
we try to let the racist moments sit.
Uh,
Second.
marinate, if you
Yeah,
will.
exactly.
Oh, it's just an Asian person saying, oh, okay.
Yeah, well, we want every Asian person
What?
listening to just sit there and just consider whether they felt that way.
Asian and say, oh, okay.
See,
And then do you hit a gong?
That's actually that's DVD 9 is the gong.
Oh, gotcha.
We'll make that 13 just for the Eastern audience, actually.
All right.
I like the gong being added. Like, I can add a gong feature
Mm-hmm.
to the Whiplash.
All right, like, all right.
Drop
My
me
question, real quick: how many years until what we just said here is going to be described?
I'm waiting for one of our
as
needs to like actually come to fruition.
completely discards us from all like, political office.
Oh, yeah.
Being
Well, that's
employed.
basically what this podcast is, my dude. That's
So-
basically all we
So,
do.
like, how many years do we have at this point?
8.
8.
Honestly, like, how many years we have before people freak out about this shit, dude? I think we got, like,
Right now.
maybe 3.
We got some time.
But like also like we go back and watch like movies where they're just fucking blatantly racist right now.
Yeah, some are really good, though.
Right, like there's some good movies and we like know like
We
okay,
watch-
yeah, people are racist now.
Didn't we watch Dwayne's movie, Me Chinese?
Oh, yeah, no, I think
No
it was
speak
called,
it
I think
English?
it was called I Love You Wrong Time. Sorry, the Chinese government.
Me
Love
no
you
speak
guys.
it the wrong time?
Taiwan
You
is like
guys remember
so
our
not a
episode when we
country.
watched that great
Oh my
comedy?
God.
That wonderful comedy. We all sit together. We're like, let's watch a good comedy this time. And we're like 12
I
years
just
asleep.
Are you guys? Do you guys know?
Recognize you
Wait a
personally.
second.
Do you guys know about the movie Watermelon Man?
Oh my god.
Is that like the grapefruit thing you were talking about earlier?
No, Watermelon Man. You know, like Freaky Friday movies where it's like, I don't understand my daughter.
Do you know this?
I don't understand my
It's an
mom.
older one, but it's
It's from like the 70s. It's this real racist guy, and then he turns into a black guy.
like
It's called Watermelon
It's
Man?
called Watermelon Man.
Holy shit.
Wow,
Think
that
black
is
like
racist.
me.
Is that the
They're
movie
like,
you were
isn't
gonna
this a
pick?
funny concept?
Why is watermelon racist? Like why is that?
Everybody
Just
likes
because
watermelon.
it's been said racist so many times. Like, there's nothing inherently wrong with watermelon. I like watermelon quite a bit.
Racist term.
Did you guys know that you're not allowed to eat meat because that's racist?
It's racist to eat meat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Black people weren't allowed to eat meat when they were slaves, and so they developed a nice barbecue culture. And so if you eat meat, you're taking a piece of meat away from a black person.
Oh,
Yeah,
dude,
but
I didn't know
alright,
that.
I'm calling you racist because of your hairstyle, and therefore you're
Well, what part of
an
his hair-
anti-Semite.
Oh.
Or, you know,
Yeah, I'll have
Right.
you know I'm actually much more
spawning the throw.
See,
Oh,
I mean,
gotcha.
what am I, though? Like, I'm just
Racist.
a bunch of whites. Yeah, I guess I am racist, too, though.
You're appropriating culture, right?
It's
Well,
also because I hate black people. God, that's on my- that's been recorded.
I've never
You know?
understood.
Keep that out.
There's a
That's gotta be one.
th- there's that
I'll just save that for the presidential
there's that Bill Burr bit where he's like, I don't understand when people are like, you're appropriating a culture. Like, I don't yell at black people when they hop on a skateboard.
You had a lot of drama, so you make jazz, you make beautiful, soulful music. We make airplanes.
Yeah.
This is how it is.
Yeah, no,
Your music would have suffered.
It's one or the other.
All right.
We
Think
took
Titans.
a very long
Yeah.
turn.
Can I get my 3-sentence synopsis from Eric?
Oh shit. Okay, so opens up with what's his face Newman being just absolutely loved by the New York jazz community. I don't know what that looks like. I
All right.
have no idea.
And no one knows what
Probably
it's like to be
very
loved by
sad
the
if we
jazz
should be
community.
honest
Yeah,
with
like
ourselves.
it's like pretty like monotone and
There is
like,
no one under the age of 50.
Man, you've never impressed four people more in your life than when you were at the top of the New York
You're
Jazz.
at the top of the New York jazz community.
Those 4 people love you.
They're stuns.
Yeah, like we can like amp it up, make it seem like a fucking like Great Gatsby type thing with jazz. I don't know, but like it's not.